Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mike. My name is Mike, and welcome to an appropriately unhinged recap of Lost Season 3. This is a great video, guys. I can't believe I've done it again. Before we get started, it has been a long time between drinks, and I do need to get you all up to speed. So here is a little recap of recaps. Oceanic Flight 815 crashes on an island. The survivors have to now not only deal with the fact that they're stuck on an island in the middle of nowhere, and no one knows where they are or even if they're still alive, but they have to deal with the island itself. There's some sort of smoke monster, there's polar bears, there's a crazy French woman that's been on the island for 16 years. The survivors discover a hatch in the ground. Inside the hatch is the Swan Station, set up for someone to enter a sequence of numbers every 108 minutes into a computer, otherwise the island will supposedly explode. The button press is Desmond Hume, who was doing a solo yacht race around the world and washed up on the island during a storm. The Swan Station appears to be part of something called the Dharma Initiative, some sort of research group that has multiple of these research stations around the island. Whilst trying to uncover the truth behind these stations and also the island itself, the survivors are also dealing with another threat, a group of people on the island they call the Others. These people have been actively nefarious, infiltrating both the main survivor group and the tail section survivor camp, kidnapping a pregnant woman and some children. A man claiming to be Henry Gale is captured by the survivor group and maintains he is not one of these others until the survivors discover he is in fact their leader. This is revealed during an exchange where one of the crash survivors, Michael, delivers 4 of his people to the Others in exchange for them releasing his son Walt and allowing them to leave the island. The Others had previously kidnapped Walt when a group of the survivors attempted to leave the island on a raft. So now main characters Jack, Kate and Sawyer have been gagged and bagged and taken by the Others. Also, it turns out pressing the Swan Station button every 108 minutes is actually very important. The purpose of the button is to release the buildup of electromagnetic energy somehow accumulating on the island. When Desmond was late to pressing the button on September 22nd, 2004, Oceanic Flight 815 crashed. At the end of Season 2, one of our most mysterious survivors, John Locke, has a crisis of faith in the island and destroys the Swan computer to prove that it's all a hoax. Except it wasn't a hoax. As a result of not being able to press the button, Desmond has to use a fail-safe key. There's an implosion at the station and a blinding white light is seen all around the island. The electromagnetic signature of this implosion is detected by a research group working for a wealthy woman named Penny Whitmore, who spent the last couple of years looking for her partner, Desmond. So that's a basic summary of where we left Season 2 plot-wise. We will be picking up almost immediately after these events. There's so much more, especially involving each character's flashbacks to their lives before the crash. To watch this particular video, this Season 3 video, I'll explain things that you need to know as we go, but that summary that I just did should get you through. I would suggest watching my Season 2 recap if you haven't. I watched a couple weeks ago and it's excellent. And the fact that I made it exactly 108 minutes long, who's doing that? In terms of production notes for this season, I think some people associate Season 3 with the 2007 writers' strike, but it was Season 4 that was affected by that because it was at the end of the year. 2 main things of note for Season 3 would be the big gap between episodes 6 and 7, and then the big backlash from episode 9. Episodes 1 to 6 aired together, and then there was a 12-week gap, and then episodes 7 to 23 aired. So when I get to episode 7, keep that in mind. To be honest, this season starts a bit meh, then has some great episodes in the middle, a couple flops, then finishes excellently, very good TV. But that slow start, coupled with the 12-week break, people weren't happy. Then another thing to keep in mind is that at the start of the season, the writers didn't know when the show was going to end, and they didn't like that. ABC just wanted it to keep going and going because it was basically printing money, but that's not always the best thing to do, as we've seen. So I would say the writing at the start of the season is very airy. We're floating around raising potential plot points, making ridiculous updates to existing plot points, teasing things, etc. But after mega flop episode 9, ABC let the writers have an end date. And in my opinion, that's when things start to get really good and the second half of the season is delicious. For the recap method, remember white lines are character connections, red lines are flashbacks, and orange lines are missions. PC 68 in the bottom left means post-crash day 68, and in the top left is the episode number. And one more thing, I have created a puzzle and incorporated it throughout this video, and I think it is really hard, but it is possible. I also made it in a way that you can't run it through some AI bullshit and get the answer. If you solve the puzzle, it'll tell you exactly what I've been planning with this series from the very start. And it is a gag. So if you want a challenge, try and solve the puzzle. I will not be giving any more clues. Good luck. And remember everyone, Ad blockers off, please and thank you. Hey! She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Lost Season 3 starts excellently. I said a similar thing at the start of Season 2. What you need to remember here is that there was a 5-month gap between the end of Season 2 and the start of Season 3, and we ended Season 2 on several cliffhangers. So much like Season 2 starting with Desmond in the Swan Station, Season 3 bypasses you wanting updates on those Season 2 finale cliffhangers by opening with something completely different. Enter stage left, Juliet. Specifically her eyeball. This is our 3rd consecutive premiere opening with an eyeball. So much like Desmond putting on a make your own kind of music record, Juliet puts a CD into her CD player and Petula Clark Downtown starts playing.
You can always go downtown.
When you are lonely and things are keeping you lowly, you can always go zone zone. Now, Miss Juliet is giving Trenches a little bit. She is in fact smiling through it via Petula Clark Downtown streams. And yeah, that's so me listening to club classics. I get it. This lady clearly has something going on, but we don't know anything about her except for her Petula Clark stan status. Mind you, she's in a house. There's light coming in, so it's not a bunker or anything. Who is she? Where is she? She's burnt her damn muffins, burnt her hand trying to grab them, and now she's hosting book club. There's a man fixing her plumbing. Everyone at book club is arguing about the book choice, and this guy says, now I know why Ben isn't here. Right. So who the hell is Ben? In fact, who are any of you? Juliet's like, listen here, flop. This is my favorite book, and I'm so glad you don't like it. And oh no, Ben doesn't like the book. Here I am thinking that free will still exists on Rumble, shaking. Is it an earthquake? Everyone rushes out of the house. The guy fixing Juliet's plumbing shows his face. It's Tom Cruise's cousin, aka Ethan Rom, aka rearrange those letters, other man. Henry Gale is running out of a house, ? And he looks civilized, ? The last time we saw him, he was on a jetty revealing he was the one in charge while wearing rags. CC Queen Diva Miss Clue, she said she knows your beard's fake, Tom.
She says she knows your beard's fake, Tom.
So Juliet, Henry Gale, Ethan Rom, these people look up in the sky and see Oceanic Flight 815 breaking apart midair and the pieces falling in different places. They are on the island. Henry Gale says, Goodwin, go to the tail. Ethan, go to the fuselage. Listen, learn, don't get involved. I want lists in 3 days. Bro, imagine the 4th of October 2006 gaggings. He sees Juliet holding this month's book club book and says, guess I'm out of the book club. Boom, title. Oh my god, you guys, Ben is Henry Gale. Hashtag Ben Gale. We zoom out and see that this settlement is right in the middle of the island. So it would seem that 1, Julia is an other, and 2, they live in houses on the island. Electricity, water, book club, muffins on the island. Welcome to Season 3, baby. Our first flashback is Jack, and I have made the executive decision to no longer call them Flash Jacks due to customer feedback. He's sitting outside ex-wife Sarah, aka Claire Dunphy's place of work, watching her talk to her new boyfriend. Remember, he fixed her spine, and then they got married, and they got divorced because he works too much. He was also kissing an Italian lady, and Sarah was also seeing someone on the side. Present day Jack wakes up via eye close-up, mind you. The eyes have it, you guys. He's in a strange room with a big metal table and chains hanging from the roof. He can see an open door on the other side of the room, walks towards it, and boom. How embarrassing, gigantic piece of glass dividing the room. It's a sort of observation room setup almost. Jack calls for Kate. Oh my god, you guys, the first thing Jack does is call for Kate. So where is Kate? She wakes up in a locker room. Tom's there. We know his name's Tom thanks to Queen legend icon Miss Clue. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom, and his beard was fake. I find it very interesting, and yes, I'm being shady here. It's very interesting the first thing Kate says is, where am I? Where are Sawyer and Jack? So in this locker room, Tom says for Kate to shower, maybe suggesting stink allegations. And she's like, well, no, I'm not going to shower in front of you. And he's like, Kate, you're not my type. Well. Ooh, there ain't no other way. Baby, Tom was born this way. Baby, she said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Could this be our first gay character? Could this also be our last gay character? Surely not, right? We have 71 more episodes after this. Surely there's at least one other LGBT character. So Kate's like, all right, got shablam. I will have a shower then, yes. After Kate's shower, her clothes have been taken and she's been given a sundress to change into. Oh my god, sun mention. Then Sawyer wakes up. He's in an outdoor cage. There's this Dharma logo on the building and we've never seen this particular Dharma logo before. Across a clearing from Sawyer is another cage with a guy we've never seen before in it. Sawyer tries to talk to him, but he doesn't respond. In Sawyer's cage is a big food button linked to a contraption puzzle thing of sorts. He presses it a couple of times and nothing happens. The guy in the other cage tries to stop him from pressing it a third time. Sawyer does it anyway and gets electrocuted. It's giving a little bit zoo, like bad conditions for the animals, but it's giving zoo. Perhaps polar bear. So it seems like this is a Dharma zoo or some sort of animal observation facility. Sawyer's in a cage, Jack's in some form of enclosure. Jack starts trying to break shit, and a woman comes into the closed off side of the room to talk to him and calm him down. It's Juliet. Okay, so it seems they're at least on the island because Juliet is there and Juliet lives on the island as we've seen. Juliet's trying to talk to Jack, but he's just yelling and thrashing and tell me where my friends are. He yells a lot this season, by the way. Since Michael is gone, David Bowie is gone, I'm still here. Since Michael is gone, we have to reach that yell quota because there's no one to yell out Walt. Flashback. Jack and Sarah are meeting up at some lawyer's office. Divorce, babe, divorce. He's pestering her, asking what the name of her new man is. I want to know the name of the man that's with my wife. Ooh, that's not classy, but I understand the need to be nosy. Then in the next flashback, he's at work going through Sarah's phone bill, calling every number that she's been in contact with, trying to get this man's identity. His dad, Christian, walks into the office as he dials the next number and Christian's phone rings. So now Jack's like, why was Sarah calling you? And he won't accept that Sarah was calling his dad because she was worried about him and not because something was going on. Christian just says, let it go, Jack, which is such an inflammatory thing to say. She said she knows your let it go is fake, Jack. In the next flashback, Jack follows Christian to a hotel after seeing Christian take a call, thinking he was meeting up with Sarah, but it turns out Christian was going to an AA meeting and is actually 50 days sober. Now, we know that Christian's drinking problem has caused many other problems, so it's a step in the right direction, but it is largely futile since we know how things are going to end for Christian. So Jack's like, okay, great, you're at AA, but I would not let you sleep with my wife. Why is that kind of giving, you've been doing the milkman. He ran into my knife. 10 times. He had it coming. Christian's just like, Jack is out of control feral and tackles Christian through the table at the AA meeting, mind you, just not classy behavior. Tom takes Kate to see the big boss, Big Ben, if you will. This beachside dining, ooh la la. Kate can't believe it. Fresh strawberries, bacon and eggs, coffee. If I were her, I would not be drinking the coffee. If there's anything I've learned from watching Survivor, it's that if you're stuck on an island with a whole new forager island diet, having coffee is going to fuck you up. Kate asks Ben, what did you do with Sawyer and Jack? And Ben says, isn't it so interesting that you asked about Sawyer first? Messy queen alert. Also one of the first things I noticed too. So Ben, we see each other. Kate's like, what's with the dress and the coffee and the beach date extravaganza? And Ben says, I wanted to give you something nice to hold on to because the next 2 weeks are going to be very unpleasant. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Back in Jack's enclosure, the intercom starts cracking. He's listening closely and he can hear what sounds like Christian saying, let it go, Jack. Then Juliet comes in with a sandwich and a water. Hey, Juliet, captor lady, what's with the intercom? Juliet says that it hasn't worked in years and that he might be hallucinating from dehydration, flagging that for discussion later. Juliet tells Jack that he can trust her, but he doesn't. I mean, can you blame him? The others are putting them through it. The guy in the cage across from Sawyer escapes and sets the alarm off, also unlocking Sawyer's cage. Sawyer runs off into the jungle and sees Juliet standing there. She shocks him with a dart and he gets put back in his cage. They've also recaptured the other guy whose name we find out is Carl. Now back in his cage, Sawyer solves the puzzle and gets animal fish biscuits. Yay! Oh my god. I'm mentioning this because Kate is then put in the cage that Carl was in. Sawyer hits her with the, you okay, Freckles? And then gives her the fish biscuit he won. Chivalry is so alive right now. Juliet goes into Jack's enclosure to give him the sandwich, but he jumps her, smashes the plate and holds a shard to her neck, taking her hostage and walking out of the enclosure into a hallway. He tries to get Juliet to open a particular door in the facility, but she won't, saying that they'll die if she opens it. And then Ben appears saying, she's right. Jack thinks they're bluffing and opens the door anyway. And this huge column of water starts flooding the facility. Juliet tries to make a run for it to the room that Ben has run into, but he shuts the door in her face. Hashtag trouble in the enemy camp, perhaps? She and Jack end up escaping together and using an emergency button to drain the water, and then she knocks him out. Diva. She's been in one episode and she's already shooting up the ranks of divadom. I have to support her. Jack wakes up. Juliet tells him that the facility is an aquarium Dharma facility and that they're underwater. Jack says, so are you people, as in the others, just what's left over of them, referring to the Dharma initiative. And Juliet says, well, that was a long time ago. Interesting, very interesting, very, very interesting. Let's circle back in 20 episodes. Juliet then reveals to Jack that they know everything about him. What he did off the island, where he worked, where he studied, who he was married to, that his father died in Sydney. She even has a copy of Christian's autopsy report, which is a crazy thing to have on the fuck-ass island. That's somewhat current. How did she get it? Juliet's got this file with everything about Jack's life, and he asks if it includes info on Sarah. It does. In his last flashback, Jack is getting bailed out of prison for smacking out his dad at the AA meeting by Sarah. She's bailed him out, but this is goodbye. When Sarah gets picked up outside the station by the new boyfriend, Jack's like, tell me who he is, rah, rah, rah. And Sarah says, it doesn't matter who he is, it matters who you're not. Ooh. She also says that when Christian rang her to bail Jack out, he was super extremely drunk. Days since last drink, 0. Looks like this incident with Jack has really set him back. Juliet asks Jack what he wants to know about Sarah, and instead of asking some nasty question about the new partner, he just says, is she happy? Ooh, it's just emotional, innit? She is happy, by the way. And I think bro is the opposite of happy right now. After both nearly drowning in a Dharma aquarium and this little queen out they've just had about Sarah, Jack and assumed baddie Juliet are now umfies, so that's nice. Except when she leaves the enclosure and Ben says, good work, Juliet. Okay. So what about our good sisters not in the Dharma Hydra station? The ones back at beach camp, or the ones on Desmond's yacht sailing past a statue with a suspicious amount of toes and pulling up on the other's fake camp? Well, let's find out. Sun, Jin, and Saeed are on the yacht. Sun has morning sickness, CC pregnancy. So Jin's like, hey Saeed, and he's saying this in Korean, hey Saeed, it's time to wrap this up. Jack et al. Aren't coming. And he's right, because Jack et al. Aren't coming because they're in cages and fish tanks. Saeed says no. Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. But Jin is not a Lilo and Stitch fan, so he wants to leave, which would be a problem for Team Stay, because Jin's the only one that can sail the boat. But then Baddie B, Barbie Tings, Banging Body B's son says, surprise, I can also sail the yacht. Fuck you, bitch. We're gonna wait for Jack. Let me drive the boat. So they set out to find another section of island to light another signal fire in case Jack sees it. They find the dock that Jack, Kate, Hurley, and Sawyer were taken to after Michael betrayed them. Remember Jack was giving chicken run with the gag? She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. So they're gonna dock there and light another fire. Saeed reveals to Sun that he thinks Jack et al. Have been taken because there's tracks all over the dock. So this fire he's building now isn't a signal fire, it's a trap for the others. When they arrive to investigate, he's going to ambush them, and that's on military training. He wants Sun to keep lying to Jin until after the fire is started because otherwise Jin won't help them, but Jin can actually understand what they're saying. He's been doing Island Duolingo. This is a Sun flashback episode. Yay! You know we're Sun Nation here. As a child, she breaks a glass ballerina and tells her father that the maid did it, and her father fires the maid. Rich people things. In her second flashback, she's sleeping with Jay while she's married to Jin. Oh my god. Remember, Jay was teaching Sun English so that she could leave Jin and flee to America. Clearly things have progressed since then. Anyway, her dad finds out, big scary crime boss dad, Mr. Paik. He tells Jin that this man Jay has been stealing from him and needs to be dealt with. Remember, Jin is like Sun's dad's hitman, but he doesn't kill, he just sends messages. Throw back to season 1 when he gave Sun the dog he took from the inspector guy that he sent a message. But Sun's dad wants Jin to kill this Jay guy based only on that he stole from him. When Sun and Jin have dinner later, he tells her that her father wants him to send a message, and she puts 2 and 2 together. She's like, oh fuck, maybe you shouldn't do it. Maybe we should just run away. But Jin can't do that because this is the price that he has to pay for being with Mr. Pake's daughter. I wrote down good character development here because that conversation is loaded with different intentions. The contextual build-up is really well done over Sun and Jin's flashbacks over the last 2 seasons. So if you go to watch that part, just know that it's Mike's Mike approved. Jin goes to kill Jay. He follows him into his hotel, room 1516, mind you, you're talking about the numbers, and he beats him up, but again, it's complicated. Jin's saying, "Do you know who I am?" referring to being Mr. Pake's employee. And Jay is saying, I'm sorry, referring to sleeping with Jin's wife. Jin's in the dark here, but Jay knows. Hashtag Jay knows. Jin doesn't kill Jay and instead tells Jay to flee to another country, but Jay jumps out of the level 15 window and kills himself. Bruh moment for real, and that's not even the last person to fall out of a window this season. Sun goes to Jay's funeral and her father is there and tells her that Jay jumped out of the window because of great shame. Like, it's your fault. She asks if he'll ever tell Jin what happened, but he says it's not my place. Jay dying by jumping out of the window and shattering definitely has parallels to Sun knocking over the glass ballerina as a child and blaming it on the maid. Could it be that her not wanting to take responsibility for her actions has consequences? Pushing the ballerina over, cheating on her husband, etc. Let's check back in with Jack in the aquarium. Small fish in a big pond, more like non-human fish in an aquarium prison cell. Right. Juliet brings him soup. Juliet is so kind. He won't eat it though. Hashtag protest. Juliet and Ben are talking when another other named Colleen comes in and tells DBB, the boss Ben, that Saeed, Jin and Sun have a boat. That is a problem. When I say boat, I'm of course referring to Desmond's yacht called the Elizabeth from Libby that was given to him to race around the world, and that's how he got stuck on the island. We all know that. We all remember that. Interestingly, Juliet says, so they have a boat. Sailing in circles will keep them busy. Sailing in circles implying that they will not be able to navigate off the island. Interesting. But Colleen says they could find us. So Ben instructs the others to control the situation and I want that boat. Babe, it's giving Charlie XCX. I want that trophy. Also, a note on the others' relationships here. Colleen is apparently dating Danny, who's the hothead other in charge of keeping Sawyer and Kate prisoner. That will be important later. Danny's got Kate and Sawyer chopping rocks in the hot island sun. Sun mentioned this guy is like so nasty. Suddenly, Alex of Claire Pregnancy Bunker fame and Bring Her Out Alex fame pops up in the bushes asking Kate where Carl, the guy that was in Kate's cage before her, is. Kate has no idea. She's also like, who the fuck is this random girl talking to me from the bushes while I'm chopping rocks in the hot island sun? Sun mentioned. Out of our survivors, only Claire and Michael have had interactions with Alex, and Claire was on drugs and Michael is hashtag gone. In the rock chopping heat, Juliet offers Sawyer some water. Juliet is so kind. Hashtag thank you, Juliet. Sawyer kisses Kate to cause a ruckus for the purpose of fighting Danny, manages to overpower him and takes his gun, which is like wow. But then Juliet has a gun to Kate's head saying, put that gun down, James. Put that down. Juliet is so kind, but she's also about her business and she's at work right now. So at the dock signal fire, Saeed and Jin are in the bushes ready to ambush the others. For safety, Sun has gone to hide in the boat. Roll, the others are not heading towards the signal fire. The focus is taking the boat. So they're on the boat with Sun. Sun grabs a gun that Saeed hid on the boat. Colleen pops up on the boat and Sun's pointing the gun at her and Colleen says, I know you, Sun Hua Quan, and I know you're not a killer. Despite what you may think, I am not the enemy. We are not the enemy. But if you shoot me, that's exactly what we'll become. Colleen keeps walking up to Sun like, you're not gonna shoot me. And Sun says, okay, bet. And shoots her. Grah. Don't play with Sun. As an Australian, like, I know you don't play with the sun. Hashtag UV. Don't play with Sun. The others take control of the boat, but Sun manages to escape and jumps into the water where she has an emotional reunion with Jin. There will be a parallel to this in like 3 seasons. So Sun's okay, thank God, but they lost the fucking boat. It's the fucking spouse. Desmond's boat, Libby's boat. They lost the Elizabeth. Sawyer and Kate are recaged at the Dharma Zoo. He tells her that he did all that to see how well the others can fight. I'm guessing most of these boys never seen any real action, but that blonde who had a gun pointed at you, she would have shot you no problem. He's so manly man right now after he kissed Kate. He's talking about some, you taste like strawberries. Kate's just like, what the hell? Your name is James? Because Juliet called him James. But I'm pretty sure Locke called him James while Kate was there sometime in season 2. The boss Ben can overhear these conversations, by the way, because it turns out the cages are wired. Ben goes to talk to Aquarium Jack and finally properly introduces himself saying, hi, my name is Benjamin Linus and I've lived on this island all my life. Then he says, if you cooperate with me, then I'll send you home. And not beach camp home, home. But cooperate with what? Jack doesn't believe that the others have this ability to leave the island or that they even have communication with the outside world. He's not really thinking straight right now. Let's use that brain. Let's use that surgeon brain because, hello, how would Juliet have had Christian's autopsy without the fucking internet or some form of communication? To prove that the others have contact with the outside world, Ben says that the Red Sox won the World Series and Jack's like, pfft. Yeah, whatever. So Ben rolls in a TV and shows him a tape of the Red Sox winning. Yes, seeing this game on the TV would be a gag for Jack. I'd be more gagged that they have a fucking TV, babe. Have you got a Sex and the City DVD? Let's put that on. After proving himself to Jack, Ben says, again, when the time comes, cooperate and we'll send you home. I ain't talking poultry when I say this chick is fried. Episode 3, or 52 overall, picks up with something that we've seen a couple of times. A close-up of a character's eye zooming out to show them laying in tall grass on the island. We saw it with Jack, and now it's Locke. We're picking up right after the season 2 finale hatch explosion. Remember, Locke destroyed the computer in the Swan Station thinking it was all an experiment, and then shit started going bad. Turns out entering the numbers every 108 minutes was important. CC, I think I crashed your plan, brother. Desmond managed to release the charge build-up using the key, there was an explosion, and then everything went white. I can say now that we will be finding out more about the Swan Station electromagnetism in season 5. I'm not ignoring it. That's all you're getting for now. Okay, so Locke wakes up and he sees naked Desmond running through the bushes. He tries to call out to Desmond, but his voice isn't working. It's always some fucking shit going on with this guy's body. Mr. Echo's staff with the inscriptions falls onto him from a tree. Locke pulls up to the beach camp looking fucking crazy, grabs a bunch of materials, and then starts heading in the direction of the church that Echo was building. Remember that. Charlie follows him and is like, hey bro, you disappeared for a day after a crazy fucking explosion. What the hell is happening? And John communicates to Charlie that he needs to speak to the island. Right. He's back on his bullshit. He would piss me off. Okay, I think Locke is a really good character, but I'm just going to say, if I was on the island and this bold man was saying and doing this shit, he would have an enemy. Locke wants Charlie to help him with this communicate with the island mission. But remember, they're beefing bad. John punched Charlie, Ari stolen Babygate. Also, for the keen eyes out there, you might have noticed that I've tagged this episode as day 68 post-crash, and the previous episode was day 69 post-crash. Girls, that's not a mistake. This episode was originally supposed to air before the previous episode, but they changed it. I don't miss anything. So how's fuck-ass John Locke gonna talk to the island? He's made the natural drug paste that he used on Boone in season 1. Remember that. Good times, rip Boone. Of course, rip Shannon, most definitely. So near the site of Echo's church, Mute Locke has built a sweat lodge of sorts and he's eating this drug paste and then Boone appears. Hallucination? No. Hallucination. Hey King, we miss you so much. While he's hallucinating, suddenly John's legs aren't working, which is a classic John Locke move. He has to use the wheelchair. Boone's wheeling him around the Sydney airport terminal and telling him someone here needs your help. Locke's crashing out. He points at Charlie and Claire. Boone says they're fine for now. Ooh, raggy. He points at Jack, Kate and Sawyer. Boone says there's nothing you can do for them. He finds Mr. Echo's bloodied staff and Boone says, clean up your mess, John. They've got him and you haven't got much time. And then inside the sweat lodge, a polar bear roars at John. When he leaves the sweat lodge, he can talk again and he tells Charlie he now knows what the island wants him to do. He's going to save Mr. Echo's life. A polar bear took him. Clean up your mess, John, referring to him preventing Echo from pressing the button by destroying the computer in the Swan Station. A good old John Locke crisis of faith. He loves to do that. Locke and Charlie head into the jungle and come across what's left of the hatch. Locke says it looks like it imploded. R.I.P. the hatch. You will be so missed. You were so loved. Thank you, the hatch. If only I was aware of the can meme when I did my season 1 video. Some of you would show up to the opening of the hatch, and if the hatch sent you free Dharma snack, you'd be like, oh my god, thank you, the hatch. So Locke and Charlie are looking for Monsieur Echo, and then they get chased by a polar bear. Everybody welcome back to the stage. A CGI polar bear. Reminds us of the pressing question, why are there polar bears on the island? Running from the polar bear, they run into Hurley, who tells them what happened at the dock. The others took Jack, Kate and Sawyer and told Hurley to go back and warn everyone to never go back there, and that Henry from the hatch is actually the others' leader. I am your leader, yes I am your leader, if you're not a believer, suck a big dick. We of course know now that the artist formerly known as Henry Gale is Benjamin Linus. That's Benjamin Queenus to you. Locke is gagged by this Henry Gale information. They went through Season 2, Episode 17, Crushed Leg plus UV Drawing on the Hatch Blast Door Challenge together. God, I loved that episode. That was cinema. They should put that episode and the Pretty Little Liars Dollhouse episodes on the big screen. IMAX, expect an email. Hurley heads back to the beach. Locke and Charlie keep looking for Mr. Echo. When they find the polar bear cave, Locke tells Charlie he can't go in, and Charlie says, "You don't get to tell me what I can't do." Quote radar, quote radar. That quote was all the rage for Season 1 Locke. Locke's also taking a bottle of hairspray into the cave.
Hairspray? I hate to be the one to point this out to you, but it's not for me.
It's for a fire explosion weapon situation. It's giving those cartoons when they fart into a flame and it causes an explosion. Imagine if that's how he saved Mr. Echo. With a fart. Hashtag thank you the fart. Anyway, in the cave, he finds a bunch of bones wearing Dharma rags. Cindy, this is bones. And then finds Mr. Echo laying on the floor covered in blood, but alive. Life is worth living. Locke lights the polar bear on fire using the hairspray, which is the plot of the movie Hairspray, and he rescues Mr. Echo. On his way back to the beach camp, Hurley runs into naked Desmond. The hatch blew his clothes off. There is a joke there, but I'm not going to say it because I'm keeping it classy. Desmond tells Hurley that the failsafe key detonated the electromagnetic anomaly and made the hatch implode. Hurley's like, okay, but you didn't implode. Exactly. That's interesting. Hurley tells Desmond that someone needs to go after Jack et al. Because they've been captured, and Desmond says Locke said he will in his speech. Reach? The flashbacks in this episode are standard Locke in the sense that it's dad lore. You know when dads drop a crazy piece of lore like it's nothing? John Locke's one here is, yeah, I was part of a commune that illegally grew and sold marijuana. Right. It starts with him picking up a hitchhiker named Eddie and bringing him to the commune called Eureka. Eureka, famously what Tom said to Kate in the locker room at the start of the season. Eureka. Ha, she said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. At Eureka, we can see that being part of something has been good for John. He's less angry and has a real family, like this, real family. Eddie has an interest in a greenhouse on the lot, but Locke's like, don't worry about that. In the next flashback, the Eurekians are packing up all the money and weed and preparing to bolt because it turns out John's mate Eddie is a cop. John pulls up on Eddie like, did you guys choose me? Eddie's like, yup. You were tagged as amenable for coercion. Bro is manipulativable. That's not a word, but we move. By this point, we've had many such cases of Locke being easily manipulated by the concept of being selected or special. And there will be several more. John apologizes to unconscious Echo saying, bro, you were right. I should have kept pressing the button. I lost my faith in the island. I could have saved our friends. Echo's suddenly like, you can still save them. But then when Locke tells Charlie that Echo's awake, he's not. Okay. They bring Echo back to the beach and he's in a bad way. So everyone's like, oh my God, guys, we need Jack to help him. Hurley's there like, well, actually, Jack's not coming back. Cue Locke's rousing speech about rescuing Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. Hurley's looking at Desmond, who's not even present during the speech, like, how did he... So the general feeling about Locke at the end of this episode is that he's back to being Team Island. He's back to being man of faith. He's on Instagram stories create mode saying, I love the island, hashtag thank you the island. Also, while this commotion at the beach is happening, we get dialogue from two characters that we've never seen before, Nikki and Paolo. I'm sure they're just background characters. Hi, how are ya? Yeah, leave that in. For the girls. Episode 4 picks up with more Desmond visions, like knowing that Locke was going to do the speech. Bro is having visions. I mean, when I see Desmond on the screen, I have visions too. Right. He's talking about hey Claire, maybe you should sleep somewhere else tonight. Your roof is faulty. Claire and Charlie, hashtag Clarlie, are like, okay. At Others HQ, Sawyer and Kate wake up to Colleen being carried in on a stretcher thanks to her son-inflicted gunshot wound. Sawyer's thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity for us to escape. And Kate's like, what about Jack? Sawyer says, what about him? It's every man for himself. Oh, here he goes. Oh, who is you? Sawyer flashbacks. He's in prison, presumably after conning Cassidy. There's a new guy, Munson, who apparently hid $10 million and the warden wants to know where it is. Sawyer has a visit from Cassidy. Remember this queen? He conned her, then unconned her, and then reconned her. She tells him that he's a dad. Here's a picture of a baby. It's your daughter, Clementine. Oh, who is you? I'm your grandmother. Lean back, acting like you're going to get up and do something. Get up and do something then. No, Danielle, I'm not going to do anything. All right then. Don't worry about it. You're telling me that this zaddy has been an actual zaddy the whole time? Munson tells Sawyer, I need you to move the money before the warden gets it. So he tells Sawyer where the money is. But it seems like conman Sawyer has actually been working with the warden to get this information in exchange for the last 6 years of his sentence being commuted and a commission of the 10 mil. A commission that he wants put in a bank account made for Clementine Phillips and set up so that she can never find out who the money's from. Bruh. And guys, like a Marvel post-credit, let me just say, Cassidy will return. Jack has been sowing seeds of, oh, so Ben is the boss and didn't care if I killed you. What's that about? To Juliet. And she's like, no, it's not like that. No, he's not my boss. Just as Ben arrives and says, Juliet, you need to come quick. The submarine's just returned and we have a problem. It's giving boss. I think this might be the first mention of the others having a submarine, which would explain how they're getting around so quickly. After Colleen arrives with her +1, her fatal gunshot wound, Ben's suddenly at Sawyer's cage saying, hey, how much do you weigh? Wow, invasive. Sawyer tries to attack Ben, but Ben has the upper hand and knocks him out. He's slimy, but he's well equipped. Sawyer wakes up strapped to a table and the others injecting a gigantic needle into his sternum, and Jack can hear this happening over the faulty intercom, which apparently doesn't work. Sawyer passes out again, and when he wakes up, Ben's there with a rabbit in a cage with an 8 on its back. Ben shakes the cage and stresses the rabbit out, and it dies. I said, oh my god, somebody call Peter. Peter. The horse is here. Bro just killed a rabbit. Ben explains to Sawyer that they inserted a pacemaker in the rabbit that would kickstart its heart if it got too stressed or excited or tried to escape. And they've done the same thing to Sawyer. They've given him a heart rate watch, Garmin, Apple Watch, or a ring. You're all over. If Sawyer's heart rate goes above 140, the pacemaker will make his heart explode. He's got to stay chill if he wants to stay alive. This is some real Saw type shit. Ben says, don't tell Kate or we'll do the same to her. Capiche? Ben is so baller and smart too. Don't play with Ben. They put Sawyer back in the cage and Kate's asking what happened and he's like, don't worry about it. Kate starts getting changed in her cage and Sawyer's watching and the heart rate monitor starts going up and starts beeping. Control it. Kate's looking at Sawyer's beeping watch like, since when did you have a watch? Since when did you have a Casio G-Shock, babe? Since when did you have an Apple Watch counting steps? Later on, Kate's telling Sawyer about her plan to climb out of the cage and escape and he's like, oh, no. Don't even think about it, girl. Juliet comes into Jack's aquarium cell covered in blood, and Jack thinks it's Sawyer's blood because he heard Sawyer struggling over the intercom. But it's actually Colleen's blood, and she's asking him to help her save Colleen's life. And why the hell would he agree to that? Juliet puts a bag over Jack's head and walks him past Sawyer and Kate's cages on the way to somewhere, but there's a siren blaring, so the friends in the cages can't call out to him and he can't see them, but at least they now know that he's definitely being kept at the same facility as them. Live together, die alone, T. Ben is flipping out that Juliet brought Jack behind the scenes, but Colleen's gonna die unless Jack helps out. On his way into the operating room, Jack sees x-rays of someone's spine. He's looking at them like, that's low-key cancer. Never mind. In the bootleg operating theater, he and Juliet try to save Colleen, but Juliet doesn't really know what to do because she's a fertility doctor, which is very important for later. Colleen flatlines and there's no crash paddles, so she's died. And the award for first death in Lost Season 3 goes to Colleen. And girls, let's go ahead and add first killed a son. Psycho Danny comes out of the operating room mad as hell that wifey Colleen died, and he goes straight to Sawyer's cage and starts fucking pummeling him and asking Kate, do you love him? He only stops when she says, yes, I love him. It's so messy. And I'm too messy, and I'm too fucking clean, and I'm too plane crash. Then I'm too fucking others. You told me do the surgery and I said, why would I do that? And then I looked and I saw some x-rays. Who do they belong to? Looks like a 40-year-old man. Later on, Kate escapes out of her cage and goes to unlock Sawyer's cage so that they can escape together. And he says, no. If you really love me like you said, save yourself and run. And Kate's like, I only said that so that he would stop hitting you. Oh. She climbs back into her cage and Sawyer's like, what the hell are you doing? You should be escaping. And Kate says, live together, die alone. Shablam! And isn't that just so correct and relevant right now? #community. The others handcuff Jack to the bed holding Colleen's dead body as like a mindfuck technique, but then Juliet turns up and she's a mess. She's not used to death. She's a doctor, yes, but she's a fertility doctor. And this is all genuine, by the way. She's not putting on an others front. We're getting the sense that Juliet is not like the other others. Like, why is she kind of normal person call, also seemingly being forced to do things that she doesn't want to do? But we don't know if we can fully trust her because she's been having all these hush-hush conversations with Ben. Jack's like, hey, Juliet Oomphy, Whose x-rays are those? They're very much 40-year-old man with tumor who needs spinal surgery, and I'm a spinal surgeon, so is that why I'm here? Back at the beach camp, Desmond borrows a golf club from Paolo. More Paolo screen time, more speaking lines, background character moving up the ranks. I'm too Nicky. Then I'm too fucking Paolo. Desmond uses the golf club to make a lightning rod, and then a couple of minutes later, a freak storm hits and lightning strikes the golf club. Lightning that would have hit Claire's tent. Desmond is giving Now You See Me 4 Horsemen. For my next trick, I'm going to look into the future and save lives. The end of this episode is so good. Ben takes Sawyer out of his cage to like a rise on the island, a trek which makes Sawyer's heart rate go almost to 140, but then Ben says, we never put a heart rate saw trap in you. Gotcha, bitch. Also, here's the rabbit. He's fine. Sawyer smacks Ben in the face, but Ben doesn't gaff, you guys. Like, he's so baller. You can be scrawny and baller, I would know. So they keep walking up the hill, Kate Bush. Time for a gag. Sawyer gets to the top of this peak on the island and looks out at the ocean and sees land. Ben explains that is the island. We are on a smaller island. Doesn't matter if you escape, you can't go anywhere. I just wanted you to know there's nowhere to run. Oh, Benjamin Queenus. Episode 5 is a Mr. Echo episode, an Echosode, if you will. As a member of Echo Nation, I'm not fucking happy about this episode, and we'll circle back at the end to explain why. So an update on where we are in the Echoverse. Tail section, Nigerian plane, priest brother Yemi told him in a dream that pressing the button is extremely important. Hatch explosion. That's basically it. It's day 71 on the island, and Saeed, Sun, and Jin are back at the beach camp. Saeed's like, okay, what the hell happened to Echo? He's still unconscious from the polar bra attack. Echo wakes up with an eye close-up, we love you eye close-ups, and sees that Yemi is in the tent with him, and Yemi's got a lighter, but this is giving hallucination. Then Locke and the gang turn around, and the tent is on fire, filed under on-island apparitions involving dead people whose bodies were on the island. After they pull Echo out of the tent and go deal with the fire, they turn around, and Echo's gone. Where did bro go? Over at the resort #aquarium prison, Jack asks Ben, does it hurt? Your neck, does it hurt? Any numbness in your fingers? And Ben's like, what are you talking about? #tumor. Jack's like, if that tumor's yours, it's gonna kill you, boss. Later on, when Jack and Juliet are queening out over a burger that she made him, Ben comes in like, hey, can we talk about my spine? Also, you seeing my x-rays low-key ruined my plans. The plan being the others break Jack and then make him invested in Juliet because she looks like his ex-wife, and then they make Jack want to fix Ben's spine. So Jack, Kate, and Sawyer being taken at the docks is all spine related. That explains that particular list, so let's get that out of the way before we encounter more lists, which we will, and several, and they're all gonna piss me off. Ben says that 2 days after he found out he had a fatal tumor on his spine, a spinal surgeon falls out of the sky. Oh, no, girl. Don't mistake coincidence for fate. Later on, Juliet comes into the aquarium cell wheeling in a TV, and she's like, sorry this is happening, Jack. Here, I'll put a movie on for you. And Jack's like, I don't want to watch a fucking movie. Please have another sacrifice. No, I don't want to have another sacrifice. Please, I'm going to be very insulted unless you have another. I don't want another sacrifice. Juliet puts a movie on while saying that they're doing all of this to save Ben's life. But when the TV turns on, it's a video of Juliet holding a sign saying, ignore everything I'm saying. Ben is a liar and he is very dangerous. The TV is turned away from the surveillance camera in the corner of the room, by the way. Some of us want a change, but it has to look like an accident. It has to look like we tried to save him, and that's up to you, Jack. Juliet saying doing the surgery is absolutely the right thing for you to do, but she's holding up signs saying it's a complicated surgery, no one would ever know, and I would protect you. Bruh. This is huge. But can he trust her? We know there's some sort of bad blood between Juliet and Ben from when he slammed the door in her face while the facility was flooding, but this much? Enough to want him dead? What did Ben do to Juliet to warrant this? Or is this another one of Ben's mind games? Love a secret message though. It's giving, she's broken, he's okay. Meanwhile, Des Money, Locke, and Saeed have come up with an idea on how to find Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. Desmond mentions that the computer from the hatch, you're talking about the numbers, can also be used to talk to other stations. So if they find another the station, they can communicate with all the other stations. Okay girls, so let's go to the Pearl station, hashtag the question mark. The computer being used to communicate with other stations is linked to Michael talking to Walt, or someone pretending to be Walt, on the Swan computer. That's still a bit iffy in my opinion. It's going in my end of series hyper-specific plot issues rant. Nobody can find Echo anywhere. But when Locke hears that when they pulled Echo out of the tent, he was mumbling about his brother, he's like, oh shablam, I know exactly where he's going. We're all going to the same place, Expedition Squad essentially. I said this in my season 2 video, but the Nigerian Beechcraft crash location being so embedded in the plot in terms of being above the question mark, which turned out to be a hatch for the Pearl station, but also linking to Charlie's heroin addiction and Boone radioing the tail section thinking it was rescue. Oh, it's just excellent. And the plane being in the same spot as the station? That's quite the coincidence. Don't mistake coincidence for fate. Randomly, Nikki and Paolo join the expedition to the Pearl station. Paolo's like, why? And Nikki's like, you're always whinging about us not being included. Let's just do it. YOLO, fuck it, we're young. Why are they talking? Who are you? So where is Echo? He's stumbling around the jungle hallucinating Yemi, and he's in a bad way. His hallucinations are linked to his flashbacks, which pick up after he was mistaken for a priest on the tarmac after the drug plane left with Yemi's body. He's now back in the village having to pretend to be a priest while also mourning his brother who's gone because of Echo's drug drama. It's a mess. When the bad news mercenary guys turn up looking for Father Yemi, they get Father Echo, who's not down with the bullshit and won't agree to the deal where the mercenaries get 80% of the town's vaccine in exchange for protection. So they kill one of the villagers to send a message. So Echo orchestrates a plan to kill the mercenaries in the village church. And afterwards, one of the villagers tells Echo that since he's performed such terrible, unspeakable acts in Yemi's church, he now owes Yemi one church, which connects to him building a church on the island. In the jungle, Echo runs into something that we haven't seen in a while, the smoke monster. Remember her? Like he hears her going around and then suddenly he's having these quite real hallucinations of the thugs he murdered in the church coming at him. But when he goes to attack them in the forest, they turn into people from the village. So it would seem that these are hallucinations. It's important to note here for later that these people he's seeing did not die on the island. And when these hallucinations disappear, Echo can't hear the smoke monster anymore. Important but also really confusing. Guys, the smoke monster stuff. I feel like I might need to get Botox from the stress the smoke monster is giving me. When Echo stopped at a creek, the smoke monster pulls up on him, but then suddenly runs away just as Locke and the gang appear. Also interesting. So everybody's now linked up. We've got Desmond, Saeed, the computer crew, we've got Locke, we've got Nikki and Paolo, and now we've got Echo, and they all arrive at the plane/Pearl. And what can I say? I gag every time they open a hatch leading into the island. Echo and Locke go into the plane wreckage, and Yemi's body is gone. This is the second dead body to disappear on the island after Jack's father Christian disappeared out of his casket in season 1. Down in the Pearl station, Nikki's watching the orientation video while Locke, Saeed and Desmond try to get the computer working. But Saeed says that it's a closed system, so trying to use it is a dead end. Then randomly Paolo comes out of the bathroom flushing a toilet. And if there's something I've learned from writing my original scripts, everything happens for a reason, you guys. That will become important later, and it will. Nikki's watching one screen, the orientation video on one screen, but there's all these other screens. So she's like, hey guys, why are there so many other screens? Maybe we can see another station on another screen. Saeed tries to patch in another one of the station feeds like they did back in season 2 when Locke could see Jack in the Swan, and one of the TVs turns on. It's a room with a computer and a bunch of equipment. Where the hell is this from? And then this happens. Who the fuck is that? This eye patch man gives them a look, serves face, and then turns off the feed. Gag. Outside of the station, Echo sees Yemi in a field. Hallucination Yemi asks to hear Echo's confession, but Echo confesses that he's not sorry for anything he did. That he didn't ask for this life, but he did what he could. He killed someone when he was a boy, but it was to save his brother's life. I have only done what I needed to do to survive. This is sounding very end of character, guys. I'm getting scared, but we're still very much in the middle of Mr. Echo's character arc, so we'll be fine. Suddenly, Yemi's face changes and he says, "You speak to me as if I were your brother," and walks off. What? Echo chases him into the jungle and comes face to face with, not Yemi, the smoke monster, which picks him up and brutally smacks him into trees, breaking his back and pummeling him into the ground. Like, it's fucking brutal. Oh my god. Hearing the mechanical whirring and smoke monster noises, Locke et al. Rush out of the Pearl station and find Echo dying. He tells Locke, "You're next," and then dies. Like, that's it. Mr. Echo is dead. What? I am not happy about this. In fact, I'm mad as hell for a few reasons. First of all, the way they killed him off was so nasty. Like, what the hell was that? Would they do that shit to Charlie, to Jin? Second, he was such an interesting character, and we got this whole backstory fleshed out, all these connections on the island, and it's so annoying that his arc was just cut short like that. Apparently, Echo was supposed to be around for a couple more seasons, but the actor wanted to leave the show, so they killed him off. The way they killed him off makes me think there was some kind of animosity towards him, because that was a crazy way to kill off a well-liked character. There's actually lots of conflicting press about what went down, but my overall impression is something went down. Also, without spoiling anything, apparently some of the story that was supposed to happen to Mr. Echo was transferred to Locke and Desmond. So my overall thoughts on Mr. Echo dying are, it sucks because the character was good, the death was a bit nasty, and also reminds us that anyone can die, which is important for these shows where it starts to feel like there's plot armor around the crowd favorites. And here's some trivia for you. Echo is the first male main character to die since Boone 34 episodes ago. Echo is the second person to be killed by the smoke monster, the first being the pilot of the plane all the way back at the start of season 1, and Bernard is the last character from the Tales section still kicking / not abducted. And some interesting info, so far we haven't been told what Kate and Sawyer were chopping up rocks in the sun for. All we've been told is that the work is mysterious and important, but there's a deleted scene from this episode where Danny Pickett tells Sawyer that he and Kate have been cutting up rocks for the purpose of, and this is not said explicitly anywhere else in the show, drum roll please, building a runway. In episode 6, Kate's getting married. What? In flashbacks, guys, in flashbacks. She's dating police officer Nathan Fillion and they're getting married. He's saying, I know this is fast, but I know it's real. I love you, Monica. Monica? Now, who? She looks so tea in this wedding dress. Body so tea that you can't even be mad that she's a lying, conning, thieving murderer. Her fiancé's mother gives her a necklace saying, my mother gave me this on my wedding day, now I'm giving it to you on your wedding day. Bruh. At the wedding, the priest says that Monica's fiancé loves her because what you see is what you get. Bruh. They get married. Kate is married, guys. Well, Monica is married. And congratulations to Monica. In the next flashback, married Monica dials someone from a payphone. I'm at a payphone. Fuck that shit. I'll be out spending all this money while you're sitting around wondering why I wasn't you coming up for nothing. Made it from the bottom. Now when you see me, I'm stunning. She's dialed the Marshal, #the Marshal, Edward Mars. All you need to know about him is that he's a category 10 hater. He's been chasing her since she killed her father, and she's calling him. She's saying, it's me. I don't want to run anymore. She begs him to let her go and stop chasing her because she really loves this guy she's found. The Marshal's like, yeah, if you can really stay put and settle down, I'll stop chasing you. But you and I both know that's not going to happen. In the next flashback, Kate, Monica's fiancé, surprises her with honeymoon tickets to Costa Rica, Rot-roll. And in her last flashback, Kate tells her fiancé that she's a wanted fugitive. Hi, it's Kate. You are in danger. It's crisis talks. She's saying, I love ya, but I can't stay. She spikes his drink so that he can't chase after her and so that people don't think that he knew and helped her. And then she leaves him passed out on the floor. This poor lady. Just disaster after disaster. At least her hair always looks amazing no matter what. Island off the coast of the island, Kate is doing her runway rock breaking with Sawyer when Alex comes charging in with a slingshot, asking Danny, where is he? What did you do to him? And saying to Kate, they're going to kill your boyfriend like they killed mine. Side note, the way that Kate has both Sawyer and Jack in her back pocket, that's a level 10 baddie. Juliet comes up to Kate and says, put this bag over your head. And Kate's like, now why the hell would I do that? Juliet says, because Danny is going to kill Sawyer, but if you do what I say, you might be able to save his life. So it's bags on heads. Juliet brings Batman Begins Scarecrow Kate to the other side of the glass in Jack's aquarium cell, and oh, it's emotions. They haven't spoken in like 7 episodes since the snatchification on the dock. Kate tells Jack, you have to do the operation or they're going to kill Sawyer. Okay, things are really starting to heat up here. Using boyfriend 2 as leverage to get Kate to tell boyfriend 1 to do the surgery to save the evil boss's life. Jack's crashing out. Remember, he had no idea if Kate was okay. And here she comes crying, talking about they're going to kill Sawyer unless you do the operation. They take Kate back out to her cage. She tells Sawyer that the others have taken Jack to do surgery on Ben. And Sawyer's just like, who's Ben? Something that I like about this show is that they're very consistent with who knows what. And at this point, Sawyer doesn't know that Henry is Ben. Kate escapes her cage again and unlocks Sawyer's cage again and tells him to run to save himself. And Sawyer reveals to Kate, we're not really on our island. We're on another island. If we can't get a boat, there's no point running. Oh, it's so bad for them. He didn't want to tell her about this because he still wanted her to believe that she had a chance to escape. Then they have sex in the cage. Ugh. Just nasty. It's a mess. Bacterially, i.e. the mud, but also will become a mess for the love triangle. Afterwards, Sawyer brings up the time she said she loved him to stop Danny beating him up, and he says, well, I love you too. In Jack's cell, the intercom starts buzzing again, and it's Alex's voice saying to try opening the door. So he does, and it's open. Pausing here to discuss what I flagged earlier about the intercom not working. It's very clearly working now because Alex is using it, but what was happening before when he heard Christian's voice? Was that a hallucination? Or was it something else? It was probably a hallucination. So Jack's escaped, and he's walking around the Hydra Station hallways. You know, he's in the surveillance room, the armory. Wait, what was that? What's that on one of the camera feeds? Naked Sawyer and Kate in a cell. Ben pops up behind Jack in the surveillance room saying, it's crazy, hey, I would have thought she'd pick you. Messy queen. Jack's like, okay, surgery tomorrow morning. I'll get this tumor out of you and save you, but I need your word that you can get me off this fucking island. I'm done. Officially. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Conflict of interest here between a few parties. We had Juliet in the last episode surprising Jack with a tape saying, hey, let's kill Ben during surgery. And now we have Jack very passionately saying, get me off this island. Mind you, Jack doesn't know that getting off this island won't actually get him very far. Surgery time. They administer the anesthetic and start digging in Ben's back. Angry Danny leaves the observation room saying, let's go. Ben just put his life in the hands of one of them and then says, Shepard wasn't even on Jacob's list. That is a so extremely crazy thing to drop in the middle of a random episode at the start of season 3. Who the fuck is Jacob? Shepard wasn't even on Jacob's list. It's also very confusing, and I can't even talk about why until like season 5 or 6. But I've made a note. Danny gets to Sawyer's cage and drags him out into the rain with a gun to his head. In the operating room, Jack and Juliet are doing the surgery on Ben, and it's very tense because Juliet keeps looking at Jack like, hey, are you gonna kill this guy or what? And then Jack slices Ben's kidney and Ben's heart rate monitor starts going crazy, and Jack knocks out the only other person in the operating room and tells Juliet to back away from the table. He tells Tom to confirm that Kate and Sawyer are given a 1-hour escape head start, otherwise he'll let Ben die. The others let him walkie-talkie with Kate, and he tells her to radio him back in an hour as proof that his demands are being met. Oh, Jack Shepard, the hero you are. He's better than me. He's better than me, you guys, because I would have crashed the fuck out after finding out that Kate and Sawyer banged in the mud, and I'd probably let the others kill them for it. I hope it was worth it. I'm kidding. Also, Jack's introduced a third option here. Save Ben with a deal to get off the island, kill Ben to help Juliet, and he's added threaten Ben's life to save his friends. In non-aquarium news, Locke has decided that they're not going to bring Echo's body back to the beach because there have been too many funerals, so they're going to bury him in the jungle with a mini funeral. Okay. Saeed pulls him aside like, what the hell killed Echo? Remember, not everyone has seen the smoke monster. Saeed hasn't. Team Island post-explosion Locke is like, yeah, there's sort of kind of this like smoke monster thing. And maybe Echo died for a reason, low-key, but I don't know what that reason is yet though. While hammering Mr. Echo's staff into his burial site, Locke sees one of the inscriptions on the side and it says, lift up your eyes and look north, John 3:05. It's a sign, guys. The island is talking to me again. Episode 7 is a Juliet flashback episode. Celebrate good times, come on! In real life, it's been about 3 months since the last episode, which I talked about at the start of the video, so coming back with a Juliet episode is a gag. This is also a double gag because it's the first fully other-centric flashback episode. Juliet had one flashback in the season premiere of the plane crashing on the island, but that episode was technically a Jack flashback episode. We open with Juliet Burke crying on a beach, likely thing for a person on an island to be doing. However, she's not on the island, she's in Miami. She's administering some sort of treatment to her sick sister. This is a flashback, clearly because she's in Miami, but also because on her way to her sister's apartment, she walks past Tom Cruise's cousin Ethan. But why is he in Miami? Just the other day I was out in Miami, got the Lolo on the perks, Lolo on them zannies. In her next flashback, Juliet is in a hospital/research facility of sorts, stealing medicine from a cabinet, presumably for her sister. A man and a woman come into the lab and Juliet hides. Juliet's phone rings and the man finds her. It's her ex-husband, Ed, and he is nasty, nasty, nasty. In the next flashback, Ed reveals that he knows what Juliet's been stealing from the lab and he wants in. He's blackmail, innit? He's saying, let me join the help your sister research and cash in or I'll snitch. The next flashback is all caps very important, and that's because we meet a Dr. Alpert. He's from a company called Middleos Bioscience, and he's pitching for Juliet to join Middleos in Portland. It's a good offer, but she can't accept it because her ex-husband Ed wouldn't allow her to have an opportunity like this. Alpert's like, surely there's something he would respond to. And Juliet's like, yeah, maybe if he was hit by a bus. Something that I want to point out here is that flashback Juliet is so nice person, and juxtapose this with bad bitch island Juliet. What happened? Okay, back to the present. Jack's just set up this sabotage Ben's operation and is negotiating Kate and Sawyer's escape. Remember, Juliet wants Ben to die. She tells the others to go catch Kate and Sawyer. I don't give a fuck. And Jack's like, well, no, the rules are if you do that, I'll let Ben die. Okay. Then she goes boss bitch mode. You haven't thought this through, Jack. Your plan's not gonna work. Your friends aren't gonna make it back to your side of the island because we're not on that island. Shablam. Jack's in the operating room in front of Tom like, okay, yeah, that's interesting. How about the time, Juliet, you asked me to let Ben die on the operating table? Tom's like, Juliet's panicking. No, I never said that. Yes, you most certainly did. Since Juliet's murderous cat is out of the bag, Tom tells her to leave the operating room and she can't save Ben by herself anyway. Kate and Sawyer arrive on the beach. They need a boat to get to the main island. She radios Jack to ask for a boat when Danny et al. Turn up and shoot the walkie-talkie out of her hand. Kate and Sawyer run into the jungle and are saved by Alex, who keeps coming back like a boomerang, so she must be important. Alex has a boat, but in order for Kate and Sawyer to use the boat, they have to rescue Alex's boyfriend Carl. Suddenly, Ben is conscious on the operating table and wants to talk to Juliet alone. Jack watches them talk from the observation room but can't hear anything. Juliet comes out of this secret conversation and asks Jack to finish the surgery and she'll go help Kate and Sawyer escape. What did Ben say to her, and why would he tell her to let Kate and Sawyer escape? Kate, Sawyer, and Alex arrive at a facility guarded by this guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's like, Alex, what the hell? Your dad's gonna kill me. So who's her dad? Well, this guy radios Danny and says, I need Ben. Ben is Alex's dad? Ben? Yes. No. Kate and Sawyer surprise attack Mr. Philadelphia, knock him out, and get into the facility. Carl is locked in room 23, of course. This is our first proper numbers reference in a long time. You're talking about your numbers. The numbers have low-key fallen off. Maybe that's just because there's so much going on. They go to room 23. Inside, Carl is strapped to a chair with his eyes forced open, watching some crazy fucking hypnotism video with scary drum and bass playing. No word of a lie, that is what a club that doesn't play pop music feels like to me. Just scary as hell. We are the causes of our own suffering. So what the fuck are the others doing here? Flagging for later, of course. They managed to free Carl, so now it's Operation Boat. Juliet and Danny turn up at the facility looking for Kate and Sawyer, and Danny's like, nah, we gotta kill them. There's no way Ben's just letting them go. Well, flashback Juliet tells her sister that she's not taking the job. It's in Portland, plus her research doesn't even work. And her sister's like, well, it does work because I'm pregnant. She did a Widmore Labs pregnancy test and it came back positive. Juliet has somehow managed to help her sick sister get pregnant, so her research works. But evil ex-husband Ed would never let her take the job anyway, so never mind. But then, boom crash, he gets hit by a bus right in front of her. I said roll back over him again for me. Here's Regina George T. Wait, hold on, he got hit by a bus. Didn't Juliet say to Dr. Alpert, carry the one? Hold on. Jack asks Gay Tom why the others didn't just get off the island to get Ben's spine fixed. And Tom's about to explain that their comms haven't been working since the hatch explosion when Jack nicks an artery and Ben's surgery goes sideways. At the same time, Kate, Sawyer, Alex, and Carl are escaping on Alex's boat when Danny turns up to kill them, but then Juliet turns up and kills Danny by shooting him 3 times in the chest and then saying, go. Not you, Alex. Bruh, this is crazy boots. Kate radios Jack saying the others held up their end of the deal. Jack says, promise me that you'll never come back here for me. Kate is distraught, but Jack won't budge, plus he's secretly negotiated getting off the island, but Kate doesn't know that. Eventually, Kate, Sawyer, and Carl leave the island sub-island. Juliet flashback. She's just ID'd her ex-husband's body in the morgue when Alpert and Tom Cruise's cousin Ethan show up. Alpert's like, yikes, I saw what happened. And Juliet's like, what the hell, who are you? He says, come with us for the job. Just do 6 months and you'll be back before your sister gives birth. Now, how did you know my Anyway, can I bring my sister to Portland? Well, we're not really based in Portland. Jack saves Ben and then asks Juliet what Ben said to her in the operating room to make her change her mind about killing him. Juliet says that she's been on this island for 3 years, 2 months and 28 days, and Ben said if she lets him live, he would let her go home. Episode 8 is a banger. Why should we be surprised? It's literally one of the numbers, right? Great episode, yes, but also extremely confusing. We've had a bit of a drought so far in season 3. Not that the episodes have been bad, but they haven't necessarily been amazing. We're nearly over the hump into an excellent second half, although there is an absolutely diabolical episode coming. But this episode is good, and it's called Flashes Before Your Eyes, Queen Outs Before Your Shablams. Hurley and Charlie are ransacking Sawyer's stash when Desmond pops up like, hey, I need you both to come with me. He is so Mr. Mysterious post-hatch explosion. Desmond brings them to Locke and Saeed, who say that Mr. Echo is dead and that the island killed him. Suddenly, Desmond's having a that's so Raven vision and runs off into the jungle towards the beach. He jumps into the ocean and starts swimming out and saves a drowning Claire. How the hell did bro know that was happening? So Charlie and Hurley are like, okay, cool. So it seems like Desmond can see the future. Let's get to the bottom of it. Their plan is to get Desmond drunk and then work out what's happening. They bring him a bottle of whiskey and at first he's like, nah, I'm not drinking. But then he sees it's a bottle of McCutcheon and he's suddenly like, well, all right then, let's go, girls. They're on the piss, yeah. Oi, oi, oi. Hurley and Charlie start asking him about Claire drowning, the lightning rod, but he's not giving anything up. When Charlie starts getting aggressive and saying, just because you turned a key doesn't make you a hero, you're a coward, Des Money gets crazy saying, you don't want to know what happened. That was kind of good. So let's find out what happened. We flash back to the season 2 finale. Desmond getting the key out of our mutual friend, the Oomph book, says, see you in another life, brother, to Locke and turns the key saying, I love you, Penny. And now his life is about to flash before his eyes. When he turns the key, he wakes up covered in red paint. He's in his house with Penny in 1996. Penny says that Desmond fell off a ladder painting. What the hell is happening? Seems like he's back to his pre-island life and he's like, yay, thank God that nightmare is over. But then he starts remembering things about island life. Like, oh my God, it wasn't just a nightmare. In this 1996 timeline, he's got a job interview with Penny's father, Mr. Widmore, and he's getting ready, but suddenly he can hear the beeping, the 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42 type beeping. Oh my God, where is that noise coming from? Oh, it's just the microwave. He's crashing out. He arrives at the Widmore Industries building and there's a mailman delivering a parcel for 8:15. 8:15. Oi nah. At the interview, Charles Widmore is giving Desmond nothing. And actually we work out we're pre-Desmond's previous flashbacks in season 2 because Charles asks if Desmond has military experience and he says no. In the season 2 flashbacks, we saw that he had enlisted in Her Majesty's service. Des looks around Charles's office and sees a replica of Charles's boat and is like, oh my God, hey, nice boat. Charles says, my foundation is sponsoring a solo race around the world, which causes Desmond to remember being in said race on Libby's boat. The storm which caused him to wash up on the island, Mr. Krabs in the bunker, etc. So he's reliving his memories with future context, not his days of future past. At the interview, Desmond's like, surprise, I'm not actually here for an interview. I wanted to ask your permission to marry Penny. Yay! Charles grabs 2 glasses and only pours 1 glass of whiskey, McCutcheon whiskey, mind you, and says, well, no, this swallow is worth more than you could make in a month. And to share it with you would be a waste and a disgrace to the great man who made it. Because you, Desmond Hume, will never be a great man. Oh my God, he basically called him a chop hoe. Desmond leaves the building a mess and has a meltdown on the street. There's a busker playing Wonderwall, 'cause baby. The busker is Charlie. Desmond knows he's familiar, but doesn't know how he knows him. Then it starts coming back to him, or forwards to him, I guess. There was a computer, there was a button, we were on an island. Charlie's like, yeah, okay, mate. But Desmond's having a meltdown because he's stuck in a loop of sorts. He's done this chat with Charles Widmore before. He came out of the building, took off his tie, and then it started to rain. Then it starts raining. Desmond meets up with a physicist friend named Donovan and says, what do you know about time travel? Is it possible that I've somehow managed to go back in time and I'm now living my life over again? I don't know why, but this random fuck-ass character pissed me off. He only had like 1 line, but I was like, get off my screen. During the conversation, Desmond thinks he knows what's going to happen because he's done it before. See this football game on the TV? I know who's going to win. Then someone's going to come in and whack the bartender with a cricket bat, but he gets it wrong. those things don't happen. Also, this football game that they're watching is absolutely riddled with references. Oceanic Airlines, the chocolate bars from the bunker, the Hanzo Foundation, the diapers Charlie advertised, Mr. Cluck's Chicken Shack, and a show called Epiosde. Guys, this next section, I'm giving you warning just to prepare your brains, okay? The next day, Desmond goes to look at wedding rings for Penny, and he's served by this woman. She shows him a ring, and he says, "I'll take it." To which she says, "No, you won't." Huh? "This is wrong. You don't buy the ring." Huh? "You don't buy the ring, Desmond." Desmond's like, what the fuck is going on? And then this lady outlines the next few years of Desmond's life, including breaking up with Penny, which leads to him crashing on the island. Then she says, "And if you don't do those things, Desmond David Hume, every single one of us is dead." Bro, okay, who is this lady? And what the fuck is she talking about? She's actually very, very, very important. So I'm going to flag that for later. Later on, this woman says that the universe has a way of course correcting. Desmond's path is to end up on the island, and he'll do it because he's supposed to, that no one can prevent their fate. This is a common theme in Lost, fate versus free will. And you know what links really well with that discourse? Time travel. Desmond's like, WTF lady, no, I choose my own path. I'm gonna ask Penny to marry me. And the lady says, you might not like it, but pressing that button is the only truly great thing you will ever do. That's crazy. Imagine some random lady telling you that. There's also a moment where someone dies and the lady seemingly knew it was going to happen and did nothing about it. And she tells Desmond that it was useless to try and save him because he would have just died from something else. That's kind of linking to something that's happening on the island right now, hashtag Raven Visions. Desmond meets up with Penny and they take the photo. Remember the photo from the bunker? Staring at the photo, Desmond's like, I can't do this. Us. You deserve better. We're not supposed to be together. He goes to the pub again. The footy game is on. He was right. He just had the wrong day. That means he can change things. The angry cricket bat guy comes into the bar and Desmond tells the bartender to duck. So the bat hits Desmond and he wakes up on the island after the hatch implosion. In the rubble, he finds the Penny photo saying, let me go back. Well, sorry to say it, babe, you can't. So then we're back to where we were. Charlie and Hurley asking Desmond about his visions, or as he calls them, his flashes. He tells Charlie that in each of these flashes, Charlie dies. Claire is in the ocean. Charlie goes out after her and drowns. The storm. Charlie gets electrocuted. Desmond keeps trying to save Charlie, but the universe has a way of course correcting. At the end of the episode, Desmond says, no matter what I do, you're gonna die, Charlie. I do have some issues here. The main one being inconsistencies with the time travel logic, which I can't really get into right now because it'll spoil some of the things that happen later on. Did these flashes before your eyes events happen this way the first time? Did Desmond actually talk to Charlie, etc.? Apparently, yes. In the official Lost podcast, the producers said that Desmond really did travel back in time. That is very confusing. Did he fork the timeline? I can say now that a way around these inconsistencies is saying that the rules don't apply to Desmond. Another confusing thing is this lady. She does become important next season, but I can talk about what my issue is now. So I'm sort of looking at these Desmond flashbacks less as time travel, but more as a type of temporal displacement, where he's interacting with these memories as a result of the hatch explosion or implosion, but he's not actually reliving them. As in, it's not time travel where he goes back and does stuff that becomes part of what actually happens. No one else is seeing the consequences of these relived memories except for knocked out post-hatch implosion Desmond. Okay, great, that makes sense. But an issue with that is this woman is in these time slips and is a real person and will become a big part of the show, but how is she cognizant in these slips and communicating with Desmond like she knows everything that's going to happen? Basically, my issue is, how is she an interactive character here? I'm thinking it's a situation where the writers did this before they solidified what would happen with time travel or with Desmond's narrative or this woman's narrative, or for now we can just say she has powers like Walt. Walt! Remember when Walt had powers? Yeah. I feel like they regretted introducing that. If this was the only episode this woman was in, we could say that she was some sort of temporal displacement spirit guide there to help Desmond, but again, she'll be back. If you have anything to say about any of those things, feel free to leave me a comment. This shit is confusing, okay? It's a team sport. We need to help each other. Moving on. I mentioned in the last episode that we're nearly over the hump into an excellent second half, but first we have to get through one of the worst episodes in the entire show, episode 9, Stranger in a Strange Land. This episode is the lowest rated in the entire show. People Hate it. After the surgery, Tom tells Jack that he's being moved to another area, and Jack thinks that being moved is code for they're gonna kill him. Let's stop talking code. Tom's like, well, no, what the hell are you even talking about? Jack's cuffed, being escorted through the facility, and he walks past Juliet, who's also cuffed and being escorted somewhere. She's apparently in trouble. There's also this scary looking woman who Tom later refers to as the sheriff. I'm a star. Sheriff badge. Juliet comes out to see Jack and tells her they let her out to examine Ben, but his stitches are infected and she needs his help again. She also tells Jack that she killed someone, so some help with Ben would be great. Sassy Jack's like, well, no, I'm not gonna help you. The sheriff lady turns up, says her name is Isabel. She takes him to her office where she's got Juliet handcuffed to a chair, and she asks Jack some questions about the incident she's investigating. She asks him if Juliet asked him to kill Ben, and Jack's looking around like, no, I made that up to create chaos. The next day, Jack wakes up in his cage to a bunch of people watching him, and one of them is Cindy. Everyone say, welcome back, Cindy. Last time we saw Cindy was in season 2, episode 7, The Other 48 Days, where Ana Lucia and Libby and Mr. Recco, RIP Queens, and the other tail section survivors were crossing the island, and then Cindy went missing. So Jack's looking at Cindy like, what the hell are you doing here with them? I thought you were captured. And then one of the tail section kids whispers to Cindy to ask Jack how Ana Lucia is going. Oh, that's not. In her Australian accent, Cindy's like,
We're here to watch.
which is referring to Juliet's trial for killing Danny, but Jack doesn't know about that yet. Later on, Alex comes up to Jack's cage and asks Jack why he saved Ben after everything Ben did to him and his friends. And Jack says he fixed Ben because he said he would. He's literally a man of his word. And Alex also tells Jack that Juliet killed Danny to save Kate and Sawyer. So now Jack has that context. The flashbacks of this episode, they're about Jack living in Phuket and getting his tattoos. When this episode aired in 2007, people were like, I don't give a fork about the origin of Jack's tattoos, especially when the promo for the episode was advertising the answers to 3 of Lost's biggest mysteries.
The answers to 3 of Lost's biggest mysteries are finally revealed.
No one cares about the tattoos right now, babe. Anyway, he meets this woman named Achara. She does special tattoos. She sees who people are and marks them. Jack demands that she see who he is, and when she says no, he pushes her against a wall. Okay. So she says, you're a leader, but you're also angry and frightened. Tattoo it on me. No. Tattoo it on me. No. He gets pushy again. Achara says there will be consequences, that it's against her people. The flashbacks are not a good look for Jack, which I think is part of the reason why people hate the episode so much. He's an asshole. In the last flashback, he gets beaten up on the beach and told to leave Thailand. Piper, you want to live in Taiwan? After hearing that Juliet saved his friends, Jack decides to help her out by fixing Ben's stitches infection. While doing so, he's talking to Ben and says, I would respect the others a lot more if you had a good surgeon. And Ben's like, we did. His name was Ethan. Once again, leveraging his medical skills that no one else has, Jack says, save Juliet or I won't fix your stitches. Ben writes a note to the sheriff Isabel, commuting Juliet's sentence, but that she must be marked, as in branded. Interestingly, this mark is seen in Achara's tattoo studio in Jack's flashbacks. So what's Jack's reasoning for saving Juliet? Because Ben promised them both that he would let them go home so they can work together to make sure that he keeps his word. Sawyer, Kate, and Carl have arrived on the main island. On the journey over, Kate was saying to Sawyer, we have to go back, which is interesting. Carl tells Kate that the others only work on this smaller island, that they actually live on the bigger island, which we know. Kate asks him what they did with the kids they took. Remember season 2 tail section flashbacks? And he says that they gave them a better life, whatever that means. Also, what the hell did Carl do to warrant being tortured in the hypnotism room? We do get an answer from Ben later in the season, but he could absolutely just be lying. Likely thing for him to do. Also, there's some weirdness between Kate and Sawyer since they slept together. Kate's still cut up that they left boyfriend number 2 Jack behind, and Sawyer's just like, I know you only slept with me because you thought I was a dead man. At the end of the episode, the others plus Jack are heading home because they can't stay on the island off the island anymore because Kate and Sawyer now know the location of the Dharma Hydra facility. Home. I'm going home. I think a lot of the backlash for this episode would have been waiting a week between episodes and then getting this character development heavy episode that doesn't really push the plot or build on any of the many existing mysteries we've got, and that ridiculous promo.
We're here to watch.
An all-new Lost
and all the flashbacks just reflecting poorly on Jack. Apparently the negative reaction was so bad that ABC let the producers set the end date for this series, which is what I was talking about at the start of the video. Also, this Sheriff Isabel character does not come back ever. She's also just completely ridiculous. Like, she tells Jack that his tattoo means he walks amongst us, but he is not one of us. But it actually just means eagles high, cleaving sky. So in hindsight, it just feels like a waste taking the time to introduce another character. I'm a star, sheriff badge. What's the point if I'm guarded? Double D up hoes, Dolly Parton. Episode 10 is a Hurley episode. I'd say this is another character development heavy episode, but people were less mad about this one compared to the last one. In his first flashback, Hurley is fixing a car with his dad and gets upset when the car doesn't work. And his dad says, "You gotta believe good things will happen, and then they will happen. You got to make your own luck." Remember, Hurley has a complicated relationship with luck. It's the 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42 of it all. His dad takes off to Vegas for a work thing. I don't think he's coming back, boss. The next flashback is after Hurley wins $114 million in the lottery from using the cursed numbers. You're talking about the numbers. And he's now used that money to buy a Mr. Cluck's, a chicken restaurant. And former boss Randy is working there for Hurley. Remember Randy? He was Hurley's boss, but was also Locke's boss at the box company. Trisha Tanaka is interviewing him for the news about his Mr. Cluck's store opening. She goes inside the store to record some B-roll, and Hurley's like, I don't know if you should be going in there before we cut the ribbon. It might be bad luck. And then a fucking meteorite hits the restaurant, killing Trisha Tanaka. Trisha Tanaka is dead. So Hurley's not exactly lucky. Also, apparently the shot of the meteorite hitting the Mr. Cluck's is the most expensive shot on the show. When he gets home, Hurley tells his mother that he has to go to Australia because that's where the numbers came from. Well, we know what's going to happen there. You're talking about the numbers. His mum's like, well, your luck can't all be bad because look, after 17 years, your dad has returned home. Hurley doesn't want his dad there. He thinks he's just there for the money. His mum shows his dad that Hurley kept the car that they'd been working on, and he kept it for 17 years. Cars are a theme for Hurley. His dad takes him to a psychic saying that they're going to break the curse. The psychic's saying, you won the lottery. I'm seeing numbers. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. There's darkness around these numbers. Death surrounds you. She says she's going to exorcise the curse off him, but it's a sham. His dad put her up to it. His dad tells him, yes, I did come back for the money initially, but that's not why I'm here trying to help you now. I'm here to tell you that you just need a bit of hope, and maybe you should give away all the money. Hurley's like, okay, bye, I'm going to Australia. And his dad says, okay, well, I'll see you when you get back. Guys? I don't think he's coming back. In current island time, Hurley is talking to Libby's grave about what's been happening, which is actually a very creative way of doing a context drop. Like, he's literally saying to the audience, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Charlie tells Hurley about Desmond's death premonitions, and Hurley's like, it might be my fault. Babe, don't blame yourself. Then Vincent runs out of the jungle with an arm in his mouth. Like a human arm, holding a key. Right. This diva, always up to some shit. Vincent is so loved. Mind you, it's been 10 episodes since we heard literally anything about Vincent's owners, Michael and Walt. Vincent's probably like, fucking hell, I'm stuck on this island with these random people. Fuck my life. Vincent leads Hurley to a Dharma car flipped on its side. Inside is a skeleton wearing a Dharma uniform that says Roger Workman. Hurley recruits Jin to help him fix the car. Inside they find a bunch of Dharma beer. Meanwhile, Sawyer and Kate have returned to the beach camp and its emotional reunions abound. Oh my god, Sawyer. Oh my god, Kate. Where's Jack? Like, where's the doctor for real? Sawyer joins Operation Fix the Car, hashtag Fix the Car. He actually pulls up on Hurley ready to yell at him for going through his stuff while he was gone, but Hurley gives him this big hug, which kind of takes Sawyer by surprise. Yay, friendship. Guys, how good is friendship? Low-key friendship is so good. They flip the car over, but it doesn't turn on. Fixing the car and getting it running is representative of hope for Hurley. Bro needs a win. The three of them push the car down a hill with the help of Charlie, and Hurley manages to get the engine starting. Yay, island fun. They're driving around the island having a great time. We were all so happy that day. It's actually hard to even imagine how terrible things would soon become. The fact that you could say that this is one of their last happy memories together Kate fills Locke and Saeed in on everything that happened at the dock and at the Hydra station, and that Carl told her the others actually live on this main island. Kate wants to get Jack back, even though Jack said to never come back for him. She says she's going to get help. From who? None other than Danielle Russo. She tells Russo that she needs her help finding the others' camp, and that Russo will want to help her because her daughter Alex is there. Episode 11 is a gag. I really like this episode. After a couple of lawless episodes, we're about to make some real headway into the island mysteries and Dharma mysteries. We are so back, guys. Oh my god. It's all up from here. Kate, Locke, Saeed, and Russo are heading off into the jungle to look for the others' camp. Based on the scripture that John saw on Mr. Echo's stick while burying him, John 305, Mr. 305, John's got the group heading north on a bearing of 305. It was a sign, remember? Well, they don't exactly find the others' camp. They find the Dharma station that popped up when they went to the Pearl and patched in one of the other station's feeds. The one run by Eye Patch Guy. Danielle says that she's never been here before. Remember, she's lived on the island for 16 years. She says she'll meet them after they're done there. She's not joining the crusade. My good sis Danielle Russo is not doing the infiltrate random building challenge. Saeed leaves his gun in the bushes with Kate and walks up to the house like, hey, I'm unarmed. Suddenly he gets shot. Eye Patch Guy says, I didn't cross the line. We had a truce. This is my land. You said I could stay here. Right, okay, I see there's been some miscommunication here. Saeed's like, I was on a plane that crashed, yada yada yada. Locke and Kate ambush Eye Patch Man and he's like, wait, did you actually crash here? Eye Patch says that his name is Mikhail Bakunin and he's the last living member of the Dharma Initiative. Wait, gag alert. Obviously not going to spoil anything, but I really like this character. I love an unapologetic hater. Mikhail brings them inside the house and starts treating Saeed's gunshot wound. He gives his story about how he joined the Dharma Initiative via newspaper advert. He's been on the island 11 years. He got stationed at this station called The Flame, a station whose purpose is to communicate with the outside world. Interesting. Didn't know that was possible. I mean, we saw Juliet with her files, but who even knows if the others and the Dharma Initiative are connected? I did in fact just wink under this when I said that. While Mikhail is treating Saeed's wound, Locke and Kate are scoping the flame. Locke comes across a computer with a chess game on it saying, ready to play? Yes or no? We know Locke is a player of fucking games. Like, of course he's going to press yes. Then he keeps losing to the computer. Mikhail tells him that you can't beat the computer at chess because it was programmed by 3 grandmasters. Mikhail's also got a cat named Nadia that Saeed keeps side-eyeing. Apparently named after Russian gymnast Nadia Comaneci, who Mikhail shares a birthday with. Okay, divas. Saeed asks what happened to the Dharma Initiative, and Mikhail says, they're all dead because they initiated an attack called the Purge against the hostiles. Also, guys, if you haven't caught on, eye patch on means I'm Mikhail. He says that he's only alive because he didn't get involved and then made a truce to stay at the station as long as he didn't cross a line around the valley. In terms of these hostiles, he doesn't know who they are, but knows that they were on the island for a very long time before the Dharma Initiative. When Mikhail goes to make tea, Saeed tells Kate that he doesn't think Mikhail is Dharma. And he's not alone because the horse outside is still saddled and the stirrups are set up for someone much shorter than Mikhail. He thinks that Mikhail is an other. Saeed once again proving he's one of the most important and intelligent survivors. When Mikhail comes back with the tea, they keep asking him questions about the station and he says it's a communication station that connects to the other stations, and he can tell that they're not really buying it, and then says something quite badass. Why are we pretending to play this little game when we all know it has moved to the next stage? That was good. And then they all start fighting and they manage to tie him up and knock him out. Kate and Saeed find a hatch to a basement, guys. Another hatch going into the ground. Let's celebrate. While Locke is guarding unconscious Mikhail, but he's like, I do want to beat that chess computer that's in that room over there. In the basement, Saeed can see that the building is rigged with C4. Locke leaves unconscious Mikhail to go play chess. Just irresponsible behavior. Saeed finds a Dharma file room with folders titled with things like food drop protocol and operations manual. Locke beats the chess game. Oh my god, yay. But then suddenly Dr. Marvin Candle, aka Dr. Mark Wickman, pops up on screen saying manual override achieved. For pallet drop, enter 24. For station uplink, enter 32. For mainland communication, enter 38. Side note, the inclusion of pallet drop is good because that was one of the unanswered questions from season 2. Where are the pallet drops coming from? There's also a more fleshed out answer to that later on too. Anyway, of course, Locke enters 38. Mainland communication, hello. Dr. Mark Whitman says the satellite is down. For sonar access, enter 56. He enters 56. Sonar inoperable. Has there been an incursion on this station by the hostiles? If so, enter 77. Great time to mention this episode is called Enter 77. Locke's about to enter 77 and then Mikhail appears behind him with a knife to his throat. Hello, idiot, leaving Eye Patch Man unguarded. Another other appears out of nowhere and tackles Kate in the basement. It's Miss Clue. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Oh my god, Miss Clue. You are so loved. Don't forget that's Clue spelled Klugh. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Kate's like, wait, I remember you from the dock. You know where Jack is. Saeed and Kate take Miss Clue upstairs and find Locke at gunpoint. Mikhail proposes a hostage swap. Locke saying, don't worry, he's not gonna kill me. Miss Clue suddenly starts speaking Russian to Mikhail, telling him to do something, and then out of fucking nowhere, he shoots her and kills her. Bro, what the hell? So what did she say to him? Well, see, the thing is, I could actually understand a tiny bit the first time I heard it because I can understand Croatian, right? But according to a transcript, she was saying, they captured us. We will not let them get into the territory. You know what to do. And he says, forgive me. Then Mikhail tries to kill himself and then goads Saeed into killing him. And Saeed's like, well, actually, you know what? No. Ad break. So Miss Clue's dead and I'm mad as hell about it. I already missed this mysterious diva. I feel like they could have done so much more with her character. At least we'll always have her legacy. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Also, fun fact, when Sun kills Colleen on the boat in episode 2 of season 3, that was originally supposed to be Miss Clue. There's also something to be said about both Mr. Echo and Miss Clue dying this season already. Like, why is Rose the only black character right now and she hasn't been seen for 10 episodes? That's crazy. So after this kerfuffle, the squad has taken Mikhail hostage. Locke is back at the bloody chess computer deciding whether or not to enter 7-7. Kate's pulling supplies from the station and Saeed's taking Mikhail to Rousseau. Mikhail's talking a lot of shit, saying that he was lying about being Dharma but was telling the truth about moving to the station after the purge, but he's also saying that he won't lead Saeed to the other's base. Saeed's like, no worries, bro. I picked up this cutesy map in the Flame Station with cabling from here to a place called the Barracks, which has houses, water and power, so that seems like a good place to go. Mikhail's like, I promise you, when your guard is down, I will kill you. And Rousseau's like, yeah, why don't we just kill him? This is a great time to talk about this episode's flashbacks for Saeed. He's a chef going by the name Najeev and meets a man named Sammy. Sammy clocks that Najeev is also Iraqi and gives him a job at his restaurant. At Sammy's restaurant, Saeed meets Sammy's wife Amira, who has burn wounds up one arm. Then Sammy's men start beating up Saeed after Amira says, yes, that's him. She has identified Saeed as the man who tortured her, and we know that he was a torturer, but he's saying that he never tortured her. Sammy wants Saeed to admit to torturing Amira, or he's low-key gonna chop him up into tiny pieces and put him in a bag. Get in the bag. No, you get in the bag. Saeed's like, well, babe, get chopping because I didn't torture her. Later on, Amira comes to see Saeed and she's holding a cat. She tells Saeed that she rescued this cat from the street and he loves her, but sometimes he'll forget and scratch her, but she's okay with that because she knows what it's like to never feel safe. And that's your fault. She demands that he show her the respect of remembering he did in fact torture her. So Saeed's like, yup, I did do it, sorry. Well, he didn't say it like that, it was much more emotional, but he did apologize to her. And then she forgives him and tells him when her husband returns, she'll tell him they got the wrong guy because she's not the type of person to kill someone. So back at the Flame, Saeed tells Rousseau that she can't kill Mikhail because he's his prisoner and he's not going to just kill Mikhail either. Parallels, babe, parallels to the flashback. He's not a killer. Kate and Locke come out of the station, Locke saying, yeah, I entered 7-7. Then the fucking station explodes. I guess if there's been an incursion by the hostiles, enter 7-7 and blow that shit sky high. Filing this under Locke destroys something that the other survivors could have used to communicate with the rest of the world / get off the island, many such cases. While they're all walking away, Saeed sees Mikhail's cat in the grass. It looks like the same cat as the lady he tortured in the flashbacks, which wouldn't be far-fetched considering the Kate Sawyer horse saga, but I looked it up and apparently it's not supposed to be the same cat, it's just supposed to remind Saeed of this other cat. Also interesting that Mikhail was apparently lying about the purge and the hostels and his truce, but that's a very elaborate and fleshed out lie. So perhaps there's some truth to it. In inconsequential island news, the gang have found a ping pong table. Sawyer wants all the stuff that people took from his tent when they thought that he wasn't coming back. So if he wins ping pong, he gets all his stuff back. If he loses, he can't give anyone a nickname for a week. He plays against the best person the beach camp has to offer, and Hurley kicks his ass. We are now halfway through the entire show. Yes, that's right, this is the 61st episode of Lost, and you know what? I'm happy with where we are. The rest of season 3 is just up, and it's one of my favourite halves of a season. Episode 12 starts with Claire cosplaying me in my Scooby-Doo Velma wig, except unlike me, she was in a car crash. The way there's always a car crash in every TV show, a car crash, of course, for my gleeks. So brunette Claire regains consciousness in a wrecked car via eye close-up and zoom out. Welcome to the eye close-up club, Claire. She's in the driver's seat, which is on the right, so we're in Australia, obviously in a flashback. Claire didn't just find a wig on the island, guys, or a car. Well, that isn't particularly far-fetched right now. Get it together. So she was in a car crash. There's a woman on the floor bleeding. It looks like she went through the windshield. It's Claire's mum. In the next flashback, Claire is getting stitches in hospital and is being questioned by a police officer, asking her what happened, who was driving, etc. Looks like her mother might die in surgery. The officer also asks Claire about her father, and Claire says that he died when she was 2. Island Claire wakes up with bangs to a mango and banana platter prepared by Charlie. He's suddenly spoiling her. She's like, what the hell? You were just mega depressed. Why the sudden change in attitude? He says, I just woke up and chose positivity. Babe, we know it's because death is on the horizon. Desmond's like, hey Charlie, let's go boar hunting. Well, no, I don't want to. Well, I think of all the things you could be doing right now, boar hunting might be your best option. Wink, wink. I had a That's So Raven vision. Meanwhile, Claire is looking at birds and she's like, I just had an idea. I know how to get us off this island. We have to catch the birds. Her plan is actually pretty good. The birds are migrating south, so if they catch one and it's tagged, they can send a message via bird once it reaches Australia or New Zealand or whatever. Charlie's being weird about this. Claire asks him for help and he says, I just don't see the point. So she's like, what's happening? This is just inconsistent. Saeed, Kate, Locke, Rousseau, and Mikhail are en route to the barracks via electrical wiring map. Saeed is mad as hell that Locke blew up the station. Locke's mad that Saeed didn't tell everyone that the basement was rigged with explosives. Kate's kind of weirded out that Rousseau isn't asking her questions about Alex. Rousseau's like, babe, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know that I care about her, and I might not even like the person she's become. This is uncharted parental territory, mind you. Imagine being in Rousseau's shoes. Your baby is taken and raised by #the others for 16 years. She and her daughter are now essentially strangers. Kate also wants to know how their now prisoner Mikhail got on the island in the first place. Like, physically, how did he get there? He says submarine. This checks out because it was mentioned before that the others have a submarine. He then says recently the use of the submarine off the island has been a no-go because their underwater beacon stopped transmitting its locator signal. That would line up with the electromagnetic explosion, meaning the submarine would not be able to find the island again if it leaves. They wouldn't be able to come back. Very interesting. Can they trust him though? Then something happens that makes me want to rip my face off because it's so confusing. Kate asks why the others would even want to come back to the island. Mikhail says, you would not understand. Okay, Carrie Bradshaw.
You just don't get it.
Kate says, try me. What I mean to say is you are not capable of understanding. And why am I not capable? Because you are not on the list. Because you are not on the list. What list? The man who brought me here, who brought all of my people here, he's a magnificent man. If Ben is so magnificent, why would he need one of us to save him? Ben is not. I will try to make this as simple as I can. You are not on the list because you are flawed, because you are angry and weak and frightened. Pause. What the hell is bro talking about? Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Hearing him say, you are not on the list, probably aged me about 5 years because that is not a straightforward sentence at all. He's clearly saying that this list is linked to the magnificent man who brought him to the island, who is not Ben. Okay, and Kate is not on the list. Okay. He also looks around at Locke and Saeed when he says they're all flawed, so that would imply they're also not on the list. Okay. The most piss-offening part of all this is I can't even say what my issue is with his statement, but there is a discrepancy. Remember in episode 3, Danny said Shepard isn't even on Jacob's list. So if we connect the dots, perhaps the magnificent man is Jacob. But then if we take both Mikhail and Danny's claims at face value, Jack, Kate, Saeed, and Locke are all not on this apparently super important list, even though they're 4 of the most important characters right now. Some would say they are the 4 most important characters right now. Without spoiling season 6 by explaining why this is a potential plot hole, it is possible to get around this by saying that maybe Ben lied to Danny and Mikhail about who was on Jacob's list to serve his own interests. But then that itself is also a potential plot hole. But it could also be that Jacob's list is not the same Jacob's list that I'm thinking of. Get that far exit door, I'm off. Anyway, Saeed's like, I call bullshit on you saying we're flawed. Like, how could you know anything about us? And Mikhail starts saying their full names and how he knew Locke was a paraplegic when Rousseau cuts him off because she's found a fence. Now, girls, this is not just any fence. It's a bunch of pylons with nothing in between, but they're in fence formation. Okay, pylons, now let's get in formation. Ever resourceful Saeed's like, why don't we just go around? Mikhail's like, there is no going around, idiot. How do you go around a circle? Plus, it doesn't even work anymore. Let's just go through. Then suddenly, Locke grabs Mikhail and pushes him through the perimeter of the fence to test it. There's a buzzing noise. Mikhail says, thank you, and then starts foaming at the mouth and bleeding from the ears. He collapses, seemingly suffering a cerebral hemorrhage. Locke's just looking at him like, sorry guys. He is pissing me off. Saeed and Kate are so mad at Locke, but he's just like, ugh, how's I supposed to know they had a sonic weapon fence, bro? He's being so fuck-ass. Just another example of him fucking things up for everyone. I also think there's a theme with him right now of him thinking he's untouchable and things happening because the island want them to be so. Saeed goes through Locke's backpack and finds some C4. Remember, Locke said that he didn't know there was C4 at the station, which is why he was mad at Saeed. What the hell is bro up to? The gang cut down a tree and lean the trunk against the pylon so they can climb up over the fence. Famously, if you can't go through it, go over it. They get over and now they can keep heading towards the barracks. Claire's plan to catch the birds keeps getting thwarted by Desmond. She's like, what the hell is your problem? But he won't answer. And Charlie's dismissing everything bird related, which is pissing her off. So Claire knows something is off and she's going to get to the bottom of it. She follows Desmond and he's gone on this very out of the way path to catch one of the tagged birds for Claire. This one that's just laying on a rock in the middle of nowhere. Claire's like, how the hell did you know this particular bird would be here? What the fuck is going on? Desmond finally tells Claire everything. The lightning rod, the drowning in the ocean, and that Charlie would have died trying to get this bird for Claire. In flashbacks, black hair Claire walks into her mother's hospital room when Aunt Lindsay appears. Aunt Lindsay is so mean. The doctor tells them that Claire's mother has sustained severe head trauma and that her brain is swelling. He doesn't know if she'll ever wake up. Aunt Lindsay's stressing because she doesn't know how they're going to pay for all this. But the doctor says that the expenses have already been taken care of by someone who wants to keep it confidential. In the next flashback, there's an American doctor in Claire's mum's hospital room when she gets there. It's Christian Shepard. Pause. Prepare yourselves, big reveal coming. Angry Aunt Lindsay turns up and says, what the hell are you doing here? Claire's just like, who dat? Christian says, tell her, Lindsay, she has a right to know. Christian Shepard tells Claire that he's her father. Gulp, bro. The step siblingnification of Claire and Jack, oh my god. In the next flashback, Christian manages to persuade black hair Claire to get a coffee with him. She's like, so where the hell have you been? Why did my mother tell me you died when I was 2? He says Claire was the result of a fling and he came to Australia a bunch of times to see her, but stopped because Claire's mother didn't like that he had another family and Aunt Lindsay just full on hated him. That other family would be Jack. What's crazy is that this matches up with Ana Lucia's flashbacks in episode 20 of season 2, where she's randomly Christian's bodyguard and they go to a house in Australia and Christian's saying, I have every right to see her, and a woman's yelling at him. That woman was Aunt Lindsay. But now in this flashback timeline, here he is because he wants to help. He suggests that they turn off Claire's mother's machines because she's alive, but she's not really living. Claire's like, right. Okay, so you suddenly appeared in my life and now you're trying to convince me to kill my mother. Right. Why don't you piss off and never come back? Actually, no, she's Australian. Why don't you piss off and never come back? This is so crazy, guys. This is one of the biggest connections between characters. What the hell do you mean Claire and Jack crashed on an island together and it turns out they're step siblings? The last flashback is pre-flight pregnant Claire visiting her mother who's been on the machines in the hospital for at least 8 months. She tells her mum that she wishes she was there with her and apologizes for all the horrible shit she said to her in the car before the crash. Hashtag sad face. So in our current post-crash timeline, I guess you could say Claire's mother is probably still alive but attached to the machines. Charlie and Claire attach a message to the tagged bird Desmond caught. We are the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815, etc. and they send it off. So this seems like a good plan, right? Maybe this will turn into something. No. We never continue the tagged bird plotline ever again, which kind of sucks because it was actually a pretty good plan. Mind you, if it were me, I wouldn't have just done one bird. Like, why are you attaching a message to one bird? Pissing me off. Anyway, Claire's like, oh, and about the whole you dying thing, don't even worry about it. We'll get through it together. At the end of the episode, Kate and the gang arrive at the barracks. Kate looks into the others' living area and sees Jack. Remember, when Kate and Sawyer left him on the zoo island, he was very much giving prisoner forced to do surgery. This time she sees him and he's throwing a football with Gay Tom. This episode, specifically the end of it, shit is getting whack. Very excellent episode though. We open with a Locke flashback where he's being interviewed about his disability payments. He's not in a wheelchair. This is about his depression. Also, the not being in a wheelchair is important timeline wise. Then he's watching a TV show that's talking about the Cobra, Bolivian gold deposits, blah blah. Suddenly the doorbell rings. It's Troy and Bellisario's husband, Patrick J. Adams of Pretty Little Liars Season 1 Episode 5 fame. He says his name is Peter Talbot and he's looking for John Locke because he needs to help him with his mother. She's being scammed by the evil troll that scammed Locke out of his kidney, Anthony Cooper.
My mom just went gaga for him right out of the gate.
Screaming for me, baby! Anthony Cooper is so nasty. First he scammed Locke out of his kidney, then he double scammed him with the fake death plot resulting in Futurama Leia breakups, and now he's back. After hearing that he's got a new ploy going, John follows Anthony to a flower shop and confronts him. Don't con this nice lady like you conned me and ruined my life, or I'll tell her the truth. Back to day 80 on the island, Kate, Saeed, and Locke are in the bushes at the barracks watching Jack. Rousseau has run off, likely thing for her to do. Juliet has come out of a house to tell Jack, I think it's going to be tomorrow. The hashtag Bushes gang are so confused. And they see Juliet and Jack wheel out wheelchair-bound Ben. They see talking and then Ben and Jack shake hands. So the Bushes gang is like, what the hell are we going to do now? Are they in cahoots? Kate's loading a gun to shoot up the village to save Jack. And Saeed's like, I think the circumstances have changed here. Until we know what's happening, it's kind of suicidal to be doing that. Nonchalant Locke is like, well, I'm sure he has a good reason for shaking hands with hashtag them. They wait until nightfall to intercept Jack and find out what's happening. Kate breaks into Jack's Dharma house. He's like, what are you doing here, you absolute idiot? They've got cameras and they're watching me. They're gonna get this on the cameras. I hate playing games. They're shit. Kate and Saeed get captured. Ben wakes up in his bed to Locke holding a gun in his face. Ben's like, whoa, okay, I can take you to Jack. And Locke's like, I'm not looking for Jack. I'm looking for the submarine. Tom comes into Ben's room to tell him that Kate and Saeed have turned up, so Locke hides in Ben's closet. Be who you are. Ben tells Richard, bring me the man from Tallahassee, whatever that means. Who the hell is the man from Gagayassi? I think this also might be the first time that Richard is mentioned by name. Locke blackmails Ben into getting his daughter Alex to fetch Saeed's backpack, which has the C4 in it. Ben realizes that Locke wants to blow up the submarine, the one Jack and Juliet are supposed to be leaving on tomorrow. Right. Ben's like, I know you, John Locke. And Locke's like, no you don't. So Ben starts listing Locke facts. Born in California, raised in foster care, worked at a box company in Tustin, wheelchair bound for 4 years before the crash, and I know how you ended up in the wheelchair. Oh my god, we don't even know that yet. Then Ben's going on about how being in the hatch with John as Henry was really tricky because he knew that John shouldn't be walking, but he couldn't reveal that he knew John shouldn't be walking without revealing who he actually was. The way this show uses John's injury as a storytelling device is so smart in my opinion, both in terms of the passage of time in flashbacks and also in terms of who knows what about the injury. Ben's like, okay, so now I can ask, was your recovery immediate upon crashing? Yeah. Are you afraid this miraculous recovery will leave? If you leave, is that why you want to blow up the submarine? Locke's just like, you're mad because you're not healing as fast as you thought you would. Then Ben says, bro, consider, how about you don't blow up the submarine? I was born on the island, but most of my people weren't, and they were recruited and brought here, and they need to have the option to go back. Pause. It's important to note that Ben tells Locke that he was born on the island, and that not many people can say that. Ben tells Locke, if you stop being annoying, I will show you things. Referring to island mysteries, of course, which Locke is most definitely interested in, Ben says picture a box, right? A very large box on the island. And whatever you imagined or wanted to be in it, when you opened the box, there it would be. Okay, so what is he referring to? Locke's like, ugh, you're such a lying hypocrite fool. You don't know shit about the island. And Ben's like, I don't know shit about the island. You've been here 80 days. Sit the fuck down. It's a cat fight whenever these two are on screen and I love it. Jack talks to locked up Kate and she's so confused. They live here and the kids they took too. Jack's being so nonchalant right now. He's like, it's fine. I'm fine. It's okay. I'm okay. And Kate flips it like, I came back here to save you. And Jack's like, well, I didn't ask you to do that. In fact, I told you to do the opposite and never come back and help me. He explains that he made a deal with the others to be taken back home, leaving tomorrow. But I'll come back and rescue you and everyone else, of course. Alex goes to get Saeed's pack and he's like, you're Alex, right? How do you know that? Because you look just like your mother. My mother is dead. I'm sure that's what they told you. Alex brings the C4 backpack to Locke and he's like, right, let's go blow this shit up. Like the titular bridesmaids in Bridesmaids when they go to Blue on Blanc after food poisoning. Right. Ben is stressing. He's saying to Locke, I made a deal with Jack for him to leave on that sub, and thanks to the hashtag anomaly, they'll never be able to find the island again even if they wanted to because the beacon broke. So, Locke, you don't need to blow up the sub because it's never coming back anyway. Ben's doing damage control to try and keep all these plates spinning. Locke doesn't give a fuck. He's like, whatever, Alex, take me to the sub. She does. Rousseau watches Alex through the bushes. Hashtag family affair. Juliet and Jack say goodbye to Ben. It's time to get on the sub, me loves. And Jack, ever the hero, asks that Ben let his friends go. It's now submarine boardings. They get to the dock and Locke's there. He says, I'm sorry, Jack. And then the submarine blows up. I said, oh my God. If I was Jack or Juliet, I would kill him. Like, he would be so completely dead. Also kind of interesting that Jack was like, yeah, I'm going home. Bye, Kate. Like, after he saw Kate and Sawyer doing the nasty in the cage, the bacterially disgusting, it was well and truly by Island girlfriend. More flashbacks. Locke gets approached by 2 FBI agents asking if he knows a Peter Talbot. This man's family is worth $200 million apparently, by the way. He's also dead, by the way. Locke goes to Anthony Cooper's apartment like, you better not have just killed this boy. And Anthony's like, no, he just died. And his mum is like so sad. So she called off the wedding. So I'm not conning her anymore. Anyway, do you want a glass of McCutcheon 60 whiskey, John? John walks across the apartment to pick up the phone to call Mrs. Talbot to find out if she really did call off the wedding. Then Anthony Cooper pushes his son John Locke out of the 8-story apartment window. John splats on the ground. I said, oh my God, it's very unexpected. Gagged me a bit, as they say. So John survived his own father trying to kill him. He wakes up in hospital to the detectives telling him that his father has fled to Mexico. Day 1 in the hashtag wheelchair. We now have an answer to one of the biggest Locke questions of how he ended up in the chair. It's because his dad pushed him out of an 8th floor apartment. But how the fuck did he survive that? Post-submarine blow-ups, Locke is locked up. He's kind of a big idiot. Yet another example of destroying something and pissing everyone off. Ben's like, okay, so you blew up the submarine because you're afraid of your evil father, and this is the only place you know that he can't reach you. Also, I know he's the one that pushed you out of the window. Also, thank you for stopping Jack from leaving. That actually worked out so well for me. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, it seems like you have some sort of connection with the island, CC being able to walk immediately, which annoyingly makes you super important. Now I'll show you what came out of the magic box. Abracadabra, babe. Abracadabra. They go to a room. Richard opens the door, also flagging this as the first time that Locke and Richard meet. So they open the door. Inside, tied up, is Anthony Cooper. What the fuck? Episode 14, Epiosde, had everyone mad as hell on March 28th, 2007. We just had this crazy episode where Locke blew up the submarine. We found out how he broke his back, and his evil father, Anthony Cooper, has popped up in a random room in the other's village after fuck-ass Queen Ben has been yapping about a magic box. So what was everyone hoping for this episode? Well, it certainly wasn't an episode all about Nikki and Polo. I think people hating this episode at the time was warranted. It would have been so annoying. It's also just frustrating storytelling to bury huge plot points with a character episode, especially after a shaky first half, and then we finally start building momentum and here we are. But I'll also say I don't actually hate this episode. It's actually a pretty good episode, excluding what's happened in the plot just before it. For context, the writers introduced Nikki and Paolo at the start of season 3, hoping that they could be built up into major characters, but everyone hated them. Like, why are we trying to make Nikki and Paolo happen? Something to remember is that these characters were introduced when there was no clear end in sight for the show, so the writers were just kind of spitballing. And also it sounded fun to talk about some of those background survivors that have just sort of been around since the first episode. The episode starts with Nikki running through the jungle and then burying something in the dirt. Flashback to Nikki dancing in a strip club and then going backstage to uncover a shady businessman named the Cobra. Nikki is an actress in a show called Epiosde. This is what Locke was watching while eating dinner in front of the TV in the last episode, and what was being advertised in the football game Desmond was watching in episode 8. Nikki's character Corvette gets killed off in the episode. The director Howie is like, "Oh, so you're leaving Sydney then? I can just write you back into the show." And Nikki's like, "No, but love you though," and then they kiss. Interesting dynamic. On the island, Nikki comes stumbling out of the jungle to Sawyer and Hurley, collapses, tries to say something, and then stops breathing, presumably dead. Hurley works out that she was saying Paolo lies when she collapsed. She has no injuries or anything, so maybe Paolo poisoned her. Flashback to 84 days ago in Sydney. Nikki's with her old man boyfriend and compliments his new private chef Paolo, who she apparently doesn't know. Then Howie dies from poisoning. Why is everyone dying? Let's just calm down. Nikki and Paolo are like, "Yay, he's dead." So they're clearly in cahoots. They go to Howie's safe and grab a bag of diamonds. Then they're at Sydney Airport. Shannon and Boone spotting. Miss these divas. Boone's wearing a crazy fucking wig. Oceanic Flight 815 crash lands as we know. Nikki's running through the wreckage looking for her dear Paolo. Jack's trying to save Claire. Locke's walking around. Shannon's screaming. Boone's looking for a pen. Did they recreate this set just for Nikki's perspective of the crash? Sorta kinda. It's a mix of footage from the pilot and newly shot footage. Yes, there are some inconsistencies in terms of who's standing where in the background, but who cares? It's still very impressive and a borderline unnecessary amount of work. Nikki finds Paolo, but she doesn't really care that he survived. Instead, she's asking, "Bro, where are the diamonds?" 75 days ago. They're still looking for the diamonds. Diamante, must be Italian. Boone took the water, yada yada, classic season 1 drama. Jack's talking about moving to the caves, hashtag live together, die alone. This is all to make us see that Nikki and Paolo have been there the whole time, which they definitely weren't. 57 days ago. Nikki's talking to Dr. Arzt, who's been collecting different species of spiders on the island. Dr. Arzt of Black Rock Dynamite death fame. She gets him to draw a map of the plane's break apart trajectory so that she can search for the diamonds. She and Paolo go looking inland and come across the Nigerian plane and walk right past it because climbing up the vines would be stupid. CC Boone death. Then they find the Pearl Station door and open it, but Nikki refuses to go down. Diva is risk averse. So they knew all this shit and told no one, which is funny but also frustrating. Like, you can't just do that. It sort of feels like they're cheapening the law, if that makes sense. 48 days ago, it's Kate gun case gate. Nikki and Paolo go to the waterfall that Sawyer and Kate found the case in to look for the diamonds. Paolo dives in and says, "Ugh, there's nothing here." But bro did find the diamonds and he's hiding them from Nikki. 32 days ago, he climbs down into the Pearl Station and stashes them in the toilet. When he's down there, Ben and Juliet come into the Pearl Station to spy on Jack in the hatch. Juliet's saying Shepard will never agree to the surgery. Ben's saying we'll leverage Michael and get Shepard forward in Austin. So old mate Paolo overheard all of this shit but didn't say anything because he didn't want to have to explain why he was down there in the first place. Crazy, crazy, crazy. What's extra interesting here is that Paolo overheard Ben saying that they'll leverage Michael to get Kate, Jack and Sawyer 32 days ago. Which if we do the maths, that would be day 49, which is the same day that Michael gets the message from Walt on the Swan computer. To me, that would suggest that Ben set that up and it wasn't Walt somehow using the computer without the others knowing. 9 days ago, Locke's recruiting people to go to the Pearl Station. We've seen this. Nikki volunteers and Paolo's like, what? They all go to the Pearl Station and Paolo grabs the diamonds out of the toilet and flushes it, which we saw. Now back to the present. Sawyer, Hurley and Jin go looking for Paolo to question him about what happened to Nikki, and they find him looking dead as hell in the middle of the jungle. He's not breathing, etc. Sawyer's like, babe, it's giving poison again. In Nikki and Paolo's tent while looking for clues, they find an expose script and Hurley's like, yes, I loved this show. Meanwhile, Vincent keeps pulling the covers off Nikki and Paolo's bodies. Naughty dog. Desmond tells Hurley that he saw Sawyer arguing with Nikki that morning. Sun's like, no. Sawyer is a good guy. It would have been the others. We know they're up to shit. Remember when they gagged and bagged me? Charlie tells Sun that that was him, not the others. That was so nasty of him and Sawyer. Do you remember? When Sawyer recruited Charlie into dragging Sun through the jungle as a ploy to get the guns. Obviously, Sun doesn't like this information reveal. Hurley asks Sawyer if he killed Nikki and Paolo, and Sawyer's like, bro, I was arguing with Nikki because she wanted a gun. And he didn't tell anyone about this because when Nikki collapsed, she had dirt under her fingernails, which would imply she was digging, and Sawyer wanted the booty. Once a thief, always a thief. And he did find what Nikki was burying. Sawyer has the diamonds. The survivors start to bury Nikki and Paolo. May they rest in peace. Sawyer pours the diamonds over them 12 hours ago. Nikki discovers Paolo's nicotine gum, which means he found his bag, which means he found the diamonds. So she asks Sawyer for a gun. 8 hours ago, Nikki takes Paolo into the jungle and confronts him. She throws one of Dr. Art's spiders on him, a Medusa spider. One bite paralyzes you for 8 hours. Your heart rate will slow down to an unnoticeable rate. Ruh-roh raggy. Then a bunch more spiders appear because they smelled the one that Nikki threw on Paolo and they bite her as well. So she's about to be paralyzed too. She quickly buries the diamonds and runs out to the beach to get help, collapsing in front of Sawyer and Hurley. She tries to say, I'm paralyzed, not Paolo lies. So they weren't dead and they were buried alive. Nikki literally opens her eyes as they're burying her, but she can't say anything. Bro. Obviously not very nice to say, yay, this character died, but the way they died, I mean, RIP to them, but what a way to go. Especially if the audience hated them. They would have loved this. What's funny about this is once Nikki and Paolo get killed off, there's basically no mention of them ever again. Even when people not currently at camp come back to the camp. Like, Kate's not coming back like, oh my god, guys, where are Nikki and Paolo? No one gives a fuck. The producers actually said that in this episode, they were acknowledging that people hated Nikki and Paolo, but they liked the episode itself and were surprised by the reaction. Context is key, I guess. It's what I was saying before, where as a standalone episode, it's pretty good, but coming after what we just had in the plot, it would piss me off. Apparently, Nikki and Paolo's story was supposed to be a lot longer, but they trimmed it down and killed them off. Now back to the actual plot of the show. So is Anthony Cooper the man from Tallahassee? The man from Gagayassi? He's not from Tallahassee though, right? Also Ben in episode 13 telling Richard to bring the man from Tallahassee. If that is in fact Anthony Cooper, then I'm doubting the validity of the room of requirement. He was put there. But also the sub hasn't left in a while because of the electromagnetic anomaly, so how long has bro been in that room? Let's see what this episode has to say about that. Absolutely nothing. We won't be hearing about Anthony Cooper for a while. This is a Kate episode. She's locked in the Dharma barracks waiting with a pole to whack whoever walks into the room she's in, and it's Juliet holding a sandwich. As I said before, don't play with Juliet, I'm serious. So Juliet's just mad as hell right now because annoying ass Locke blew up the sub. The others aren't even her people. Hey people, what are you doing? She just wants to go home to her sister. And these idiots ruined everything. Locke comes into Kate's room to say goodbye because he's leaving with the others. What is bro doing? He's really been on another planet since the hatch implosion. He says that he vouched for Kate and told them that she was a good person, but then they told him everything Kate had done. Remember, only a few people know that Kate was a fugitive on the run prior to the crash. Later on, Kate's watching through her window as the others pack up their shit to leave, and someone suddenly rolls a gas canister into her room and knocks her out. She wakes up in the jungle, handcuffed to Juliet, who she just tried to recently whack with a pole. Now, why did the others leave Jumpfliet behind? That's the name of the episode, by the way. Left behind, not Jumpfliet. So they're in the jungle and neither of these two divas know what happened. Juliet says that she got knocked out the same way. Kate says that she saw the others leaving and this is news to Juliet. Yay, defected Juliet. They're trudging through the rain, trying to find their way back to the barracks when the bickering gets to a point that they physically start fighting each other and Kate dislocates Juliet's shoulder. Now, in Lost, we know that nothing good happens in the rain. Suddenly, they can hear the monster. Yeah, that was the monster. Juliet's listening like, oh my god, what the hell is that? That's so scary. What is happening? She doesn't know the monster, apparently. Interesting. They hide in the banyan trees, of course. Over here. in the banyan trees. The smoke monster comes up real close and flashes a bright light in Juliet's face 4 times. We've never seen that before. After some research, it seems like people think the monster was scanning her, and the flashes were because it was dark. But the monster has been up close and personal with people in the dark before, presumably also scanning them, but has never flashed them. Kate's like, bro, how the hell have you never seen the smoke monster? After this interaction, the monster leaves, then it's Operation Relocate Shoulder. These divas are beefing. Kate dislocated Juliet's shoulder, so Juliet's getting some barbs. She's getting some barbs in. Juliet says that Jack saw Kate and Sawyer doing the nasty in the cage, which is the reason why he told Kate not to come back. Not because he didn't want her to get hurt. Like, oh, you dislocated my shoulder? Well, I'm going to tell you that you broke Jack's heart, diva. So as I said, this is a Kate episode, so let's get into these Kate flashbacks. In her flashbacks, she's in Iowa wearing a trucker cap and going by the name Lucy. Her car gets towed, and at the mechanic, she meets Cassidy of Sawyer flashback fame. Cassidy's selling fake necklaces, the con that Sawyer taught her. The guy that Cassidy is conning at the mechanic is catching on and says that he's going to call the cops. And Kate intercepts like, oh nah, these necklaces are real. Cassidy asks Kate why she helped her, and Kate says, one girl watching another girl's back, I guess. That's girlhood. But Cassidy's like, I think it's because you didn't want that guy to call the cops. Like, she's so high IQ. Or maybe she's just jaded by her Sawyer experience. They start queening out. Drinks at the bar. My name's Lucy. No. It's not. You got me. Anyway, I killed my stepfather who was a bad man, and I escaped the marshal, and now I'm on the run. YOLO, fuck it, I'm young. Kate says that she's in Iowa to visit her mother, famously who dobbed her in, she wants to talk to her, but there'll be so much surveillance if she interacts with her, so Cassidy agrees to help her. She was involved with a bad man who ruined her life, so she's helping Kate because one of them deserves something good. Sawyer mention! I'm actually so glad this actress is back. I think she's great. She helps Kate by dressing up as Kate and visiting Kate's mother to see what would happen. The air marshal's like, gotcha, Austin! No. That's so nice of Cassidy to do that. She's so loved. Kate tells Cassidy about blowing up her stepfather's house, putting the insurance claim in her mother's name so that her mum can get hella money, and then her mother gave her up, which is why she wants to talk to her to find out why she did that. Cassidy helps Kate stage a run-in with her mum at the diner she works at. Diane's looking at her daughter like, you murdered him in cold blood, you're evil. Kate's just like, what the hell, I did it for you, he was a monster. Her mum's like, fucking leave. If I ever see you again, I'm calling for help, bruh. Also, she did that. The next time that Diane saw Kate was in the hospital bed when she snuck in to see her, and she called for help immediately. Sis did what she said she was going to do. Cassidy drops Kate back at the mechanic to get her car. Kate finally tells Cassidy her real name and then says, also, what was the name of this guy, the one that ripped you off? Cassidy doesn't say his name, but says that she's pregnant with his baby. And that's on Clementine Phillips. This is yet another very interconnected flashback. We just had the reveal of the step-siblingnification of Jack and Claire, and now it turns out Kate and Cassidy were oomphies. Kate had a full-on diva duo moment with Sawyer's scammy/girlfriend, and it looks like she was the one to be like, hey, maybe you should call the cops on him, which is what sends Sawyer to prison. After shoulder relocations, Juliet and Kate are on the move again, and Juliet just keeps re-ending Kate. When Kate's like, shut up, you don't even know Jack. Juliet starts listing all the things she knows, like, mate, do you even know him? Then the monster chases them again. They run into the sonar weapon fence, and Kate's like, no, we can't go through that, CC Mikhail. Juliet says, don't worry, the fence is off, then pulls a key out of her pocket, unlocks her handcuff to Kate to go turn the fence on. When the smoke monster gets to the activated sonar fence, it can't get past. Gag. Right, so time for Juliet to do some explaining here. She says that the others don't know what that thing is, but know that it doesn't like our fences. I believe that she doesn't know what the monster is. And what about the key that she just pulled out of her pocket to unhandcuff herself from Kate? She says that the others did leave her behind, but she locked herself to Kate so that Kate would think they were in it together and wouldn't leave her behind as well. Poor Juliet, always being left behind. Juliet is so loved. Hashtag we love you, Juliet. She and Kate make it back to the barracks. The others are gone. Kate fetches Jack and Juliet fetches Saeed. Seems like they were also gassed. Kate tells Jack that the others have left, and he's quite mad about it. If Kate never came back, Locke wouldn't have been there to blow up the submarine. Kate's like, oh my god, sorry. But the first thing Jack asks is if Juliet also left. Kate's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm chopped liver then. And she is. Jack, Juliet, Kate and Saeed head off back to the beach camp without Locke. Bro has switched teams. Saeed doesn't love that Juliet is coming with them. He doesn't trust her. Guys, I missed the numbers. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Bring back my girls. We might not have the numbers, but we do have an episode centering around the Queen legend icon herself, Juliet. She's on her way to the beach camp with the squad. On the journey, Jack's still got an attitude with Kate. We should really be redirecting that to Locke for blowing up the sub. Where is that diva anyway? But Jack's angst towards Kate is obviously about freaking it in a cage gate. Meanwhile, Saeed wants the tea on Juliet direct from the source. Who are you? Juliet says, if I told you who I was and everything I know, you'd kill me. Saeed's like, well sis, I might kill you anyway. Time for some gorgeous Juliet flashbacks. She and her sixter, if you will, pull up to Midlost Bioscience's private aeroplane hangar, #money. Downtown is playing in the car. Okay, favorite tune.
Hi, I'm Juliet Burke. I'm with Mitlos Bioscience.
My recurring song in my Lost flashbacks would be Lady Gaga Applause. Richard Alpert greets them at the hangar. Also, I'm going to say now, I do really like this character too. Juliet's heading off for a few months, so it's emotional goodbyes to Sixter. I'll be back before you give birth, I promise. Oh. In the hangar, Richard pours Juliet a drink with tranquilizer in it and says, hey, drink this. You're going to need it for the trip to where we're going. Juliet's scam radar is going off, but she goes along with it anyway. It feels like this is meant to happen wherever they're going. They won't tell her where. She drinks the Tranquiloj and wakes up in a fucking submarine. She climbs out of the submarine and she's at the island. Excuse me, this doesn't look like a research facility. Jumfliet's wondering, where the actual fuck am I? She's greeted on the dock by Benjamin Linus. In the next flashback, Juliet is doing surgery in the staff station, the pregnancy one, with Ethan and Goodwin. It looks like they're trying to deliver a baby, but the mother dies. Later on, she's talking to Ben, and Ben says that it was the woman's choice to get pregnant, and Juliet says, I think it happens at conception. So there's clearly some issue happening here with the pregnant women. Juliet says, I can't help. It's time for me to go home. My sister will be giving birth in 3 months. Ben's like, well, no, she'll be dead before 3 months. Her cancer is back. And then gives Juliet her Sixter's scans. He is fucked in the head. Obviously, hearing this, Juliet wants to go home and be with her Sixter. Ben says, if you stay here and help us get to the root of our pregnant women problem on the island, I'll cure your sister's cancer. Jacob said he'll take care of it himself. This question mark? Yeah, that's Jacob. So Ben is Jacob's mouthpiece, apparently. Next flashback, Juliet is in bed with Goodwin. Oh, well, we know what happens to him. Then Juliet's looking at Ben's spine scans that she ordered because he had back pain, and she's like, ooh, sister, this is bad. This is a tumor. She's also like, you're full of shit, saying that no one on the island's ever had cancer, that you can cure cancer, blah, 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 blah. Then why do you have it? Ben told Juliet that he would cure her Sixter's cancer, and he maintains that he did. So Juliet's like, okay, well, I want to talk to her to prove it. And Ben's like, well, no, we can't do that. Juliet doesn't believe him and just wants to go home. Request denied. Would now be a good time to mention that Midlos is an anagram for lost time. I'll do Olivia Wilde nod. Oh, it's just too good, innit? Back to the squad trip to the beach. Jack tells Saeed to lay off Juliet, that she's under his protection. They arrive back at the beach camp. Some beach camp context here. Claire is suddenly sick as shit. Everyone at the beach is like, yes, Jack's back. They haven't seen him for 16 episodes or 13 days. Sawyer's like, I don't give a fuck that Jack's back. Kate's back. Yay! Then everyone at the camp's like, what the hell is she doing here? Referring to Jumfliet. They don't want her there. Jack's trying to convince everyone that Juliet is a good person and not like the other others, or like ex-Oomph Locke, who, mind you, fellow survivors, blew up the fucking submarine I was going to leave the island on and return with rescue. Everyone's bickering, and then suddenly Claire starts spitting up blood. Luckily, a pregnancy researcher has just popped up on the beach. Juliet tells Jack and Kate that she knows what's wrong with Claire because she did it to her. Claire's body is having a latent reaction to a medication Juliet gave her to keep her alive during the late stages of her pregnancy. She says that women on the island can't have babies. Every pregnant woman on the island dies, which explains Juliet's flashbacks. Kate's side-eyeing Sun. Remember, Sun is pregnant. Loki forgot about that. So why didn't Claire die? Juliet says it's because one of her people infiltrated their camp and started taking blood samples right after the crash. Ethan, Tom Cruise's cousin. Mind you, Claire didn't conceive on the island, but she was still showing symptoms. So they tried to save her with the injections. Remember Ethan with the needle? But then shit went south when the survivors worked out that Ethan wasn't on the plane. He improvised and then kidnapped Claire. That apparently wasn't part of the plan. This is crazy. It's essentially flipping one of the biggest "the others are evil" plot points that the rivalry essentially was hinging on into, oh, we were actually trying to save her. Juliet tells Jack that she can save Claire now. She just needs the serum which is in a stash that Ethan hid. So she goes to the stash. Saeed and Sawyer follow her and intercept. They want answers. Jumfliet's not fucking having it. She goes queen mode, like, oh okay, yeah, right. So you two are the moral police, right? Okay, Saeed, did you tell everyone how many people you tortured? Sorry, did you tell everyone that you shot a man in cold blood the night before you got on the plane? Get out of my face. I'm gonna go save Claire's life. Gag it! I mean, technically, Sawyer didn't kill anyone the night before the flight, it was the week before. But anyway, a gag is a gag. Juliet makes it back to camp and administers the serum. Claire wakes up fine. A few hours later, Juliet saved her, although she did kind of make her sick in the first place. Although that was initially to save her as well. More Juliet flashbacks. It's the season 3 intro scene. Zown. Plane crash. Guess I'm out of the book club. Spinal surgeon falls from the sky. Then Ben takes Juliet to Mikhail's flame station because he wants to show her something. In the flame station, we can see that Mikhail has multiple monitors of news shows running stories about the missing oceanic flight 815. They've had access to international media this whole time. Then Ben video calls Richard from the station, who shows live footage of Juliet's sister playing in a playground with her son Julian. She's no longer sister, she's just sister, and had the baby. Excuse me, they were literally just FaceTiming before FaceTime was invented. Best feature at the Big Apple since FaceTime. One of my favorite Nicki Minaj lyrics, yes. So it turns out Ben wasn't lying. Jumfliet's sister was healed. Juliet just wants to go home, but Ben won't let her until her work is finished, i.e. stopping pregnant women from dying on the island. Also, all this about how badly Juliet wants to get off the fucking island makes what Locke did with the submarine even more annoying. One more flashback. Juliet is talking to Ben in his kitchen. Let's go over the plan again. Juliet says, I handcuffed myself to Austin, tell her I was also gassed. If she catches on, I'll tell her I lied so that I wouldn't be left behind. They'll take me back to their beach camp. You've activated the implant in Claire, so she'll be symptomatic within 48 hours. Perfect for me to fix. Hashtag building trust. Boom. Juliet is still on the other's side. Anything to get back to her sister. Ben says, see you in a week. She's such a legendary diva, and I hope you're getting that. Episode 17 is called Catch 22, Catch 22, if you will. We've sort of left this particular plotline in the beach sand for a bit, but Desmond's been having those Charlie death flashes. You're gonna die, Charlie. You're gonna die, Charlie. You're gonna die, Charlie. You're gonna die, Charlie. This episode starts with Desmond having a vision that Charlie steps on a trap in the jungle and gets an arrow through the neck and dies. I've been the archer. I've been the prey. Then he sees a flash of a helicopter, someone parachuting onto the island, the picture of him and Penny, Hurley holding the beach cable, and then Penny's face. So he's putting 2 and 2 together to equal 7. Oh my god, Penny is about to parachute onto the island. Let's find that beach cable. That's the first piece of the puzzle to get Penny back. He doesn't want to stop this flash sequence from happening. He wants it to happen, even if it means Charlie getting an arrow in the neck. So he rounds up Hurley, Jin, and Charlie because they were in the visions. He's like, oh, Charlie, don't worry, you won't die in these particular visions. So they go and find the wire. But I fumbled it when it came down to the wire. To the beach cable. To the beach cable. Pause. We're getting a little taster of time travel logic here. Desmond sees the future and then does things to make sure the sequence of events happens as he saw them. That's a bit of a loop. I feel like there's another song there. God, I'm on fire. What the hell am I making it rain for? If Desmond didn't see the future that resulted in him doing actions to create that future, would it still have happened? Let's pick that back up later this episode and then much later. So more of these flash events happen. He looks at the photo of him and Penny. They hear a helicopter above the beach. That's right. They hear a helicopter. Rescue? Can Scooby-Doo say C? Rescue? 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 Raggy. But then the helicopter sounds fucked and they watch it crash in the ocean. Oh. Desmond sees a parachute beacon in the sky above the island. Okay, we're back on. When it's daylight, they start walking through the jungle looking for the parachutee. They find a backpack in a tree that has a functioning satellite phone in it. Battery's dead though, of course. Also in the backpack is a book with the picture of Desmond and Penny in it. What are the chances? Oh my god, places people. Penny's about to turn up on the island. They go looking for her. The sequence of events leading up to Charlie getting an arrow in the throat starts happening. At the last second, Desmond pushes Charlie out of the way. So no arrow in the throat. How will this affect the sequence of events? Charlie's obviously mad. Desmond's like, I was supposed to let you die, and you will eventually die because this is just going to keep happening and happening. They find the parachutee hanging from a tree looking kind of dead. Desmond flashbacks. He's in a monastery. He's a brother. Brother, see you in another life, brother. Is that why he says brother all the time? Surely not. Oh my god, Brother Jack? A man comes into the monastery asking to see Brother Desmond and then punches him in the nose and leaves. Desmond goes to a woman's house. Her brother is the one that punched him. We find out that Desmond was about to get married to this woman after dating her for 6 years. And then he disappeared a week before the wedding because he had a calling. She's not buying this shit. And that's fair enough. That's nasty behavior. Bro kind of became a monk to avoid his wedding. So this is clearly pre-Penny. Desmond gets fired from the monastery. Also, lol, this poorly photoshopped photo on the desk. Hold on, zoom and enhance. Is that Miss Girl from the Confusing Time Slip episode? How the hell did these two know each other? So Desmond's fired and he's just kind of lost now. Lost mention. He's getting a lift into the town with a woman who's ordering a bunch of the monk wine. Oh my god, the woman is Penny. This is the first time they met. Back at the parachutee site, Desmond climbs up to the limp body stuck in the tree and cuts them down. The parachutee starts stirring just as Desmond's about to take her helmet off. Oh my god, is it Penny? Is she alive? We'll have a look.
Sorry.
Desmond.
Who the fuck? There's also drama happening at the beach camp. What's new? Sawyer wants to sleep with Kate again, but she's like, Jack, stop. But Jack's not reciprocating and keeps hanging out with Juliet. So Kate's like, fuck ya. Sawyer, let's go. After, Sawyer finds out that she used him and he's like, you don't have to do that, bro. Just ask me. What a gagalicious Gagiana Grande point to be at episode 18. We're so back, guys. Life is worth living. Parachute woman clearly knows who Desmond is, but he's never seen her before in his life. She's in a bad way. There's a branch sticking out of her side. Then out of fucking nowhere, Mikhail comes running out of the jungle. He's supposed to be dead via buzz at the sonic weapon fence, but he's clearly also been following the parachute beacon. So he's run towards the beacon, sees them, and runs off again, but Jin follows him, tackles, and fights him. This entire group heard from Kate and Saeed what went down with Mikhail, so they know that he's an other. He sees the parachute woman dying and says that he was an army field medic, so he can offer his services and help her. But if he helps, then they have to let him go. Desmond's like, yep, go for it, bro. He's on feral mode because Penny is so close conceptually. There's also something so ridiculous about the concept of Penny Widmore parachuting onto the island like Desmond says, let's be realistic here. Mikhail's like, who is she? Where did she come from? Did she have anything on her? And Hurley's like, yeah, she had a satellite phone. Shut up. After Mikhail pulls the branch out of this woman's side, in another language, he says, I am not alone. But Mikhail tells Desmond that she said, thank you for helping me. Mikhail is now 2 for 2, using multilingual talents for shady purposes. He also says that she'll be fine in about a day from a punctured lung because healing times are a bit different on the island. Well, we know that to be true. Desmond lets Mikhail go, but he's snatched the bloody satellite phone. Jin catches him again and gets it back, #Jin Nation. Charlie's fucking fuming that Desmond's just letting Mikhail go. And Mikhail keeps stirring Charlie up on his way out like, nah. And let me just say, those two divas have unfinished business. Back at the beach camp, this is a Sun episode, Let's Celebrate. We haven't heard from her in a while, and yeah, it pissed me off. Remember, Sun and Jin were told by the fertility specialist that Jin was #Jin fertile. Then on the island, Sun does a pregnancy test and it's positive. She's pregnant. Where's Kate? Kate tells Sun that Juliet was researching what happens to pregnant women on the island, so Sun confronts Juliet. What happens to pregnant women on the island? They die. Oh. That night, Juliet ambushes Sun in her tent and says, I have answers to your questions and I can help you, but we have to go right now and you can't tell anyone. They go to the abandoned medical station, the staff, and the goal is to work out when Sun got pregnant. Her DOC, which is the name of this episode, date of conception. If you got pregnant off the island, you're fine. If you got pregnant on the island, Mind you, off the island was the #Jin fertile era. So if Sun conceived off the island, that means it was with someone else. Sun's thinking, I lose either way. How's this for a moral dilemma? If I'm going to live, then the baby wouldn't be Jin's. Bro. Sun tells Juliet this. Juliet's like, yeah, but the island probably reversed the Jin fertility. The stakes are very high. Sun is stressed. In the staff station, Juliet pulls a lever in the locker room, revealing a secret door. Love that shit. Love, love, love a secret doorway. Love a spooky underground station. In Sun's flashbacks, she's getting blackmailed by an older woman who says it would be shameful if everyone knew that Mr. Pake's daughter was married to the son of a fisherman and a prostitute. Sun tries to get to the bottom of who Jin's parents are, but he's being very cagey and said that his parents were dead, so she's thinking, okay, maybe there's some truth to these rumors, these trumors perhaps. Through an investigator, she finds Jin's fisherman father and meets him. It's a queen owl. She's like, why would Jin say you died? And Mr. Kwan's like, #shame, babe. Then she asks about Jin's mother, and he says that she was with many men and left a baby with him, and he wasn't even sure if Jin was his. He also says that Sun can never tell Jin that his mother is actually alive and didn't die when he was a baby. So it looks like the blackmailing woman was right, so Sun has to fetch the blackmail money. Also in season 1 episode 17, Jin visits his father and tells him about Sun, but little does he know that Sun and his father already met and they had a queen out. Sun goes to her father and asks him for $100,000 but can't tell him why, besides is to protect someone from great shame. If he gives her the money, Sun will keep pretending that she doesn't know what her father does behind the scenes, referring to the shady business, etc. She's not blackmailing. This is different. This is a deal. Her father gives her the money, but says, if the money is for your husband, he will have to deal with the debt and he will have to work for me. #shady business. So Sun takes the money. Jin finds the money in Sun's purse when he's looking for her keys, and he thinks that she's taken it from her dad to buy things that Jin can't provide, but he says that he'll get the money eventually for those things and for Sun to return the money. She doesn't, and instead gives it to the older woman and says, why didn't you tell me you were Jin's mother? As in, Jin's mother is blackmailing Sun over her being Jin's mother. She's like, ugh, I didn't want to be his mother. Then Sun goes queen mode and says, Jin thinks you're dead. Don't make me make that a reality. Oh! Also so interesting that Jin's promotion to Mafia Man for Mr. Pake was essentially because Sun borrowed $100,000 for Jin without him knowing. In the staff station, Juliet does an ultrasound on Sun, yes, healthy heartbeat, and then works out the baby was conceived 8 weeks ago. Sun crashed 90 days ago. Confirmed the baby is Jin's. Jin, you are the father. But ruh-roh, doesn't that mean... Don't worry about it, babe. Sun doesn't care. She's just so happy that the baby is Jin's, even when Juliet tells her she basically only has 2 months to live. Let's get that cure happening, people. They leave the station, but while Sun is outside, Juliet goes back in to leave a message for Ben on a recorder. Ben, Kwan is pregnant. I'm still working getting samples from the other women. I should have Austin soon. Turns it off. Then picks it back up and says, I hate you. Jumfliat. Oh my god, okay, at the end of this episode is gag times 10. It's a 10 times gag. Hurley is playing with a satellite phone when the parachute woman regains consciousness and says, who are you? I'm a survivor of Oceanic Flight 815. She says, 815? The flight from Sydney? That's not possible. They found the plane. There were no survivors. They were all dead. See you next week, everyone. Welcome to next week, everyone. From here on out, it is banger after banger, essentially an all-star run. All the next episodes have ratings of 9 or higher on IMDb. It is serious. This episode doesn't have normal flashbacks. That's how serious it is. You can see there's no red lines. Instead, we have on-island flashbacks. We are picking back up with Locke. Thank God. It was the end of episode 13 when his dad was revealed to be tied up in the room of requirement. In 2007 time, it's been 6 weeks since we had an update on that. I would be genuinely fuming. And I was fuming because I was 11, seated every Thursday night to watch this show. Okay, 8 days ago. Locke's just opened the door and Ben's like, I didn't bring him here, you did. Whatever that means. Locke takes Anthony's muzzle off to ask him how he got there, and Anthony bites him on the hand and then says, don't you know where we are, John? Bro thinks he's in hell. Ben closes the door. He tells Locke that they're moving to a new place. Sorry, an old place. Want to come with? Well, yes. Locke dropped his survivor squad with ease and now he's squatted up with the others. If this was Fortnite, he'd be saying, let me change my skin and then squat up with a different team. He probably plays Reload. This links up timeline-wise with Locke telling Kate that he's leaving with the others. Jump to present day. Sawyer goes to take a leak in the bushes. And who pops out of the bushes? Fuck-ass Locke. Sawyer is absolutely fuming at this bold man who keeps blowing shit up, has apparently joined the others and wants to know why he's here. Locke says that he was looking for Sawyer and that he's undercover with the others. right, that a few hours ago he kidnapped Ben, tied him up and dragged him into the jungle. And he's gone to get Sawyer to kill Ben. Sawyer's like, well, I'm not a murderer. And Locke's like, well, you are. Hashtag the man in Sydney. The others had a file on you, sister, and I read it. When Sawyer says no again, Locke's like, okay, bye, and walks off, knowing that Sawyer will follow him. 3 days ago, Locke and the others are camping on their way to their new place. Old place. Cindy tells Locke that they've been waiting for him. Ben sends for Locke. When Locke gets to Ben's tent, he's listening to Juliet's tape update about Sun continuity. Ben tells Locke that they're gathering intel to take pregnant women from the survivors. He also tells Locke that he's chosen, but also not ready to see the things that Ben has been promising to show him about the island. Because he needs to kill his father first, right? Keep up. Magic box is a metaphor. Locke needs to make a gesture of commitment to the island to prove that he's ready to join the others, i.e. kill his father. That night, Ben takes Locke to where they've got Anthony Cooper strapped up and tells him to kill him. Kill him and be done with your past. Locke can't do it. Ben tells the others he's not who we thought he was. What's the tea? What's happening? Back to now, Desmond et al. Are back at the beach camp, but they're not telling anyone that they've got a parachutey British woman in a tent. She says her name is Naomi. The squad's thinking if they can keep her safe, she'll get them off the island. They haven't told Jack about this because they don't think they can trust him since he was with the others for 10 days and now keeps hanging out with Jumfliet all the time. So they bring Saeed in instead, another win for Saeed Nation. Every time I put on this black singlet, I feel like Saeed, like that diva rocks that black singlet. Naomi tells Saeed that her name is Naomi Dorrit. Her helicopter took off from a freighter 80 nautical miles from here and she's part of a search and recovery team. As in, there's a boat 80 miles away that can rescue them. She also says that the entire plane of Oceanic Flight 815 was found in a trench 4 miles deep off the coast of Bali. 4 miles deep. Oh my god, I'm twitching the numbers. Camera robots went down to survey the wreck and all the bodies were there. What? Is this all purgatory vibes? Ew. So Naomi is apparently search and rescuing, but not for them, for Desmond. Her company was hired by Penelope Widmore, who gave them a set of coordinates, and they've been searching ever since then. This lines up with the end of season 2, CC, the electromagnetic explosion, CC, Miss Widmore. I think we found it. So Naomi was checking these coordinates in the ocean, suddenly sees land, her helicopter instruments go crazy, and voila, crash. Saeed thinks she's BSing, but then she pulls out the satellite phone. Do you feel it now, Mr. Krabs? Later on, Saeed actually manages to get the satellite phone working, which is a classic Saeed move. Like, how the hell is bro repeatedly fixing these instruments using like sand and sticks? But there's interference blocking him sending a signal out. As he's trying to get it working, Kate turns up like, what is that? Locke tells Sawyer that he also read in Sawyer's file that Sawyer's father killed his mother and then killed himself, but he doesn't know why. Sawyer jumps Locke like, why are you taking me to kill Ben? Do it yourself. Locke says it's because he can't do it. Chicken. Sawyer says, okay bro, look, I'll come with you, but I'm not going to kill him. We're going to take him back to the beach camp. Locke's like, right. You'll change your mind once we get there. On their journey to Ben, Sawyer tells Locke that he didn't mean to kill that man in Sydney, he thought it was someone else. Locke brings Sawyer to their destination, the Black Rock, saying that Ben is inside. Oh my god, Black Rock, you are so loved. The concept of a ship in the middle of an island. I love it. Locke takes Sawyer inside the ship, shows him the room that has Ben with a bag over his head, and then locks Sawyer in that room. Sawyer pulls the bag off Ben's head. It's not Ben, it's Anthony Cooper. Randomly, Rousseau turns up at the Black Rock to get some dynamite. Like, hey Locke, what's with all that yelling in that room? Locke's like, hey Umphy, don't worry about it. So she doesn't worry about it. She said, not my monkeys, not my circus. 2 days ago, Richard sits down next to Locke on a hill. Hi, I'm Richard. There are so many levels to these two interacting, but you're gonna have to wait until season 5 for that. Richard tells Locke that Ben embarrassed Locke on purpose because he doesn't want anyone to think that Locke is special. As in, the others were starting to think that Locke was special. Hello, he had a broken spine that magically started working after he crashed. Richard says that the others are looking for someone to remind them that they're there for more important reasons, not the shit that Ben has them doing. Richard says that Locke's father does have to die, but gives Locke Sawyer's file saying maybe he can do it. But why would Sawyer do it? Back at the brig, Anthony Cooper is talking. He's telling Sawyer that he's Locke's dad. Sawyer's like, how the hell did you get here? He says he was in a car accident and was put in an ambulance and then woke up in a dark room, and when the door opens, it's his dead son John Locke, who he threw out of a window. John Locke is dead because the plane he was flying on crashed in the Pacific. Sawyer's like, you're losing it, bro. We're on an island. Anthony Cooper's saying, maybe we're in hell. I'm in a pirate ship in the middle of the jungle and your plane was found at the bottom of the ocean. Sawyer's like, okay, so why'd you push bro out of the window? He was getting annoying after I conned him. Conned him? Yes, I'm a con man. I've been all kinds of people. Alan Seward, Anthony Cooper, Tom Sawyer. Pause. Tom Sawyer? Jump to yesterday. The others are leaving, but leaving Locke and Anthony Cooper behind. Locke's like, I thought you said I was special. Ben says, well, everybody makes mistakes, diva. Don't follow us unless you're carrying your father's body on your back. Back at the Black Rock, Sawyer's done the math. This is the man who conned his mother, resulting in his father killing her and himself. Sawyer gives Anthony Cooper the letter he wrote when he was a kid. Dear Mr. Sawyer, you don't know who I am, but I know who you are, and I know what you've done. Then Sawyer wraps a chain around Anthony Cooper's neck and kills him. Boom, bitch. This is crazy, you guys. This is really crazy. Locke's father, who pushed Locke out of a window, is the con man that conned Sawyer's mother, resulting in Sawyer being an orphan. This is maybe the biggest pre-island link between two characters so far. Like, yes, the step-siblingnification reveal is huge, but they weren't really that connected, whereas these stories are huge. Absolutely bonkers reveal. This is also the end of huge arcs for both Locke and Sawyer. This man ruined both of their lives, and he was preventing both of them from moving on. And these are plot points that started 67 episodes ago, so this is a pretty decent payoff. I am a bit unsure of the Anthony Cooper capture timeline here though. Like, when did the others get him to the island? Anyway, Ben said to Locke not to follow them unless he was carrying his father's body on his back, so he sets out to do just that. But not before telling Sawyer that Juliet is a mole, CC the information that Ben told him about the pregnancies, and that there's going to be a raid on the beach in 3 days' time to take the pregnant women. He gives Sawyer Ben's recorder to use as proof, and Locke's telling Sawyer this because he himself is not going back to the beach camp. Ever. For the rest of the show, I think. Sawyer asked Locke if it's true that he was a cripple. And Locke says, not anymore, bitch. Important to note that Sawyer now knows that Locke was healed by the island. Back to the beach. Kate's trying to get Jack alone so that she can tell him about Naomi, but Jack's like, whatever you want to say to me, you can say in front of Juliet. Okay, fine. Naomi revealed to Jack and Juliet. Also, no one told you, Jack, because they don't trust you. Jack's acting nonchalant as hell. It's actually pissing me off. He's like, Ray. And how is this Naomi going to contact the boat she came from? Satellite phone. Right. Then Juliet's randomly like, Jack, we should tell her. And Jack says, no, not yet. Tell Kate what? Big episode, big excellent episode. Literally all of it is important. I can't skip anything. This was also the first episode to air after it was announced the show would end in 2010, and it would have been gag city watching this knowing there was a planned end. We start with a woman giving birth in the jungle. The man helping her, Roger, is Greg from the White Lotus. After giving birth to a baby boy, the woman starts dying. So Roger carries her out of the jungle to find help, except they're not in the jungle, are they? They're 32 miles from Portland. A man and a woman pull over to help them, but this dying woman says, call him Benjamin, and then dies. It's giving Marion Cotillard in Dark Knight Rises. Cut to present day Ben in a tent talking to Richard while holding a wooden doll saying today is his birthday. He also says a very interesting sentence. You do remember birthdays, don't you, Richard? I'm sure it's just a sassy remark. Ben and Richard work out that the recorder is missing. They don't know that Locke took it and gave it to Sawyer. And when Ben goes to find Tom to see if he has it, he sees Locke walking into camp holding his father's body over his shoulder. He's bloody done it, the madman. Okay, he's my dead father, so tell me everything about the island. Bitch. Well, okay, let's go. Ben tells Locke that he answers to Jacob. So Locke's like, okay, great, take me to Jacob. No, I can't. And no one else can because no one besides me talks to Jacob or knows where he is. Babe, it's giving imaginary friend. Ben says, I was born on the island and I'm one of the last that was, so Jacob talks to me. Well, we just saw that Ben was very clearly born in Portland. Bro is obsessed with lying, but the thing about Benjamin Linus is he's always lying for a reason. There's always a point to the fuckassery. We'll find out later. Locke's thinking there is no Jacob. Ben made him up. Well, all the evidence thus far would suggest so. Every time Locke and Ben talk, I'm like, yay! I love these two weird middle-aged men. Next, Ben flashback. He's about 12 years old and arriving on the island with his dad, Roger. They arrive on the submarine, #Dharma Initiative. Ben and Roger Linus are greeted by Horace Goodspeed, who Roger tells Ben was there the day he was born, and Horace has given Roger a job on the island. Orientation video of Dr. Mark Wickman, aka Dr. Marvin Candle, saying, "Stay in your living quarters. Our barracks are surrounded by a high-frequency sonar fence. There are properties on this island that exist nowhere else on Earth. Our mission is to study these properties for the betterment of mankind and advancement of world peace." Right. Now, freshly Dharma, Ben meets a young girl named Annie. Roger gets his Dharma uniform, Roger Workman. We've seen this before, when Hurley finds the van with the skeleton wearing the Roger Workman uniform. That was Ben's dad. But what happens to get Roger Workman to that position? Roger's not happy that he's a janitor, but he's also just kind of not happy about anything. Back at the beach camp, Sawyer has returned after killing Anthony Cooper. He pulls Saeed aside and shows him the Juliet recorder. While this is happening, Mikhail is sprinting through the jungle to the others' camp saying, "Where is Ben?" He sees Ben talking to Locke and he's like, "What the hell? That's the guy that tried to kill me with the fucking pylons." And Ben's like, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's with us now." Mikhail tells Ben about Naomi parachuting onto the island, and Ben is flabbergasted. This is not part of the plan. And this is a big deal because so far the others have been in control of pretty much everything. Mikhail says that Naomi has a satellite phone and that her ship is 130 clicks to the west. And when I heard this, I was about to get mad that they messed up the distance consistency, but Naomi said 80 miles and clicks is kilometers and 80 miles is 130 kilometers. Right. So Mikhail's saying, we need to go to the beach camp now, not in 2 days on the scheduled pregnancy raid. Then Locke pops up saying, well, that's too bad because Ben and I are going to see Jacob actually. Every other in the camp hears this and they're like, excuse me? Ben's like, no flop. The Naomi satellite phone takes precedence. So Locke beats up and nearly kills Mikhail as a point to say, no, actually, we're going to go see Jacob. Alex gives Locke a gun saying, you're going to need this if you're going to see Jacob. This is stressing me out. Who the hell is Jacob? Why would Locke need a gun and why would Alex know that that is necessary? Next, Ben flashback. He's still 12-ish. He's in class in the barracks when there's an attack by the hostiles. All the Dharma people grab guns and lock the buildings. Later on at home, he overhears his dad talking to Horace, who says they've been having skirmishes with the natives and that they're not actually sure who these people are. Suddenly at Ben's window, he sees his dead mother standing there and then she's gone. In the next flashback, Annie gives Ben a wooden doll for his birthday. She actually gives him two, one of him and one of her, and he keeps the one of her and she keeps the one of him so they can always be together. It's the same doll that Ben was holding in the present when he was talking to Locke in the tent. So in this flashback, drunk Roger forgot Ben's birthday, but tells him it's kinda celebrate the day you killed your mum. Dad of the year. 12-year-old Ben runs off into the jungle and stops at the sonic fence. Suddenly his mum appears on the other side of the fence, telling him it's not time yet, Benjamin, and then walks off into the jungle. Okay. Present day Ben tells Locke that Jacob's not going to be happy that they're going to see him. You don't go see Jacob, he summons you. Ben takes Locke to a cabin that has a perimeter of grey ash around it. Spooky shit. Ben lights a lamp and takes Locke into the cabin and says, don't use your torch in there. Jacob hates technology. Old mate Locke is kind of bricking it. Inside the cabin, it's Preacher's daughter vibes. Old shit everywhere. A painting of a dog, some random jars. Ben's talking to an empty chair as if Jacob is there. Empty chair to a solo. Ben's like, oh, you can't see him? He's sitting right there. Guess you're not chosen. Locke's like, oh, so you're insane. Cool. You're a con artist. You don't know anything about the island. As Locke's leaving the cabin, he hears a voice say, help me, which in the subtitles says Jacob.
Help me.
Guys, I was fucking spooked as shit watching this. Locke turns around and turns his torch on, and then shit starts flying around the cabin. The jars go flying at Locke's head, the oil lamp falls on the floor and catches fire, catching fire mention. The window smashes. Ben's talking to the empty chair like, enough! And then goes flying into the wall. But when the camera pans back to the chair, we see this man for a couple of frames, and then this eye. Whose fucking eye is that? Is that supposed to be Jacob? Locke runs out of the cabin. Ben comes out looking shaken as fuck. This scene is very, very complicated in terms of what actually happened. I can't say why yet, but I wrote this sentence, which I think I can say. The actions of whoever was in the cabin and talking to Locke and not Ben was potentially doing so to sow disorder between Locke and Ben, and also to cast doubt on the idea of Jacob for Ben. Right. Back at the beach. Saeed and Sawyer are looking for Juliet. Babes, she's still a double agent. Saeed tells everyone at the beach camp about Naomi and how the rest of the world thinks they're all dead. They're obviously flabbergasted, like if they think they're dead, they're not going to be fucking looking for us. And if everyone's not struggling enough already, Sawyer plays the Juliet tape for everyone. Kwan is pregnant. The fetus is healthy and was conceived on island with her husband. He was sterile before they got here. Just airing out Sun and Jin's business in front of the entire camp. Suddenly Juliet and Jack turn up. Juliet tells Sawyer to turn the tape over and press play. So he does. It's Ben telling Juliet that they're coming to get Sun day after tomorrow and any other women that Juliet says is pregnant, and for her to mark the tense of who to snatch. Turns out Juliet told Jack about all of this the night she did Sun's scan, #turning point, and she and Jack have been plotting on what to do next. As in, Juliet has officially switched sides to Team Survivor. Guys, let's celebrate the official oomphening of Juliet. Jumfliet. Time for another 12-year-old Ben flashback. He leaves the barracks and turns off the sonic fence. He's going off into the jungle after his mother. In the jungle, he hears the whispers. And then Richard appears, looking exactly the same as he does now, just with long hair. Ben's like, who are you? Are you a hostile? Richard's like, what the hell are you doing here? Ben explains that he's looking for his mother, but she's dead. And Richard asks if she died here on the island, and that is very extremely important. When Ben says no, Richard asks if Ben saw her in the jungle and is surprised when Ben says she talked to him. When Richard tells Ben to go home, Ben's like, no, I hate it, Dharma flop, I want to go with you. Hello, stranger danger? Richard says maybe, but you'll have to be very patient. Okay, so 3 things. First of all, it would seem that Richard doesn't age. Richard seems to be a native hostile. And what the hell are the whispers? Welcome back, the whispers. We haven't heard from them in a while. Back to Ben and Locke walking through the jungle after Jacob cabin gate. Ben wants to know what Jacob said to Locke to make him turn around. And Locke's like, nothing, bro. You said it because you made Jacob up. You put on this theatrical show in the cabin. I'm going to tell everyone that you're a lying fraud. Ben's like, well, yes, I did lie about some stuff, such as saying I was born on the island, but let me show you where I came from. Flashback. Ben is older and putting on Ben workman Dharma overalls. He puts the doll Annie gave him in his bag and gets in the work van with his now much older dad. The van is full of beer, like it was when Hurley found it. Ruh-roh. Ben tells Roger it's his birthday. He's bloody forgotten again. This time Roger says, let's have a beer after work. Father-son bonding time. Cut to after work, Roger's having a beer. Ben keeps looking at his watch. It's 4 o'clock and 15 seconds. Then 16 seconds. Roger says, I'll remember your birthday next year. Ben's like, don't think that's going to happen, Dad. Ben starts going on about how for his entire life he's had to put up with Roger's shit and it's taken a lot of patience. Then he puts on a gas mask and rips a canister of toxic gas, killing his father. Thus, the Roger workman skeleton that Hurley found in the van was dead because his son Benjamin Linus killed him. Gas mask Ben goes back to the barracks. There's bodies everywhere. Everyone's dead, including Horace. Then these hostiles, led by Richard, appear. So Ben, Richard, and the rest of these hostiles killed everyone in the Dharma Initiative. And this matches up with the purge that Mikhail was talking about. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That would explain why there seems to be such a detachment between the others and the Dharma Initiative this whole time. It's because they're not the same thing. Also, Richard looks the exact same after the gassing as he did when Ben was a kid and in the current day, which makes the line Ben said earlier, you do remember birthdays, don't you, Richard? Even more interesting. Cut back to now. Ben is showing Locke the shallow grave of all the Dharma people he killed. Ben tells Locke that the Dharma Initiative could not coexist with the island's original inhabitants, and when it became clear that one side had to be purged, he did what he had to do. This is a big Ben moment. He says, I was one of the people that was smart enough to make sure that I didn't end up in that ditch, which makes me considerably smarter than you, John. And then Ben shoots Locke, who falls into the ditch. Locke's bleeding out and he's like, what the fuck? Why did you do this? Ben says, because you heard him. What did he say? He said, help me. Ben leaves Locke dying in the Dharma skeleton ditch. Bro. How can you not love this show? Something that I'm not 100% sure of at the moment is why Jacob said help me to John. I have some theories based on what happened in season 5 and season 6, but I will continue the research and get back to you on that one. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention is that the Ben character theme, the music, is really good. Legend Michael Giacchino made a theme for every character and I really like the Ben one. Soundtracks actually blow my mind because how the fuck did you manage to make a motif that sounds equal parts villainous, tragic, intelligent, aspirational, and mysterious island-esque? Things are fucking crazy right now. At the start of this episode, Carl is sprinting to a paddle boat and then paddling in the ocean. Okay. The beach gang is walking through the jungle. The last we heard was Jack saying he was working on what to do next, re the others coming to snatch the pregnant women. Well, here he is leading every main character on a walk to somewhere. I love when it's all the girls together like the Avengers. Jack calls for Rousseau, who walks out of the bushes. He gets her to show the group what they've been working on, and she blows up a tree with a bomb. Jack says, "We're not running this time, we're fighting." That's why Rousseau was getting dynamite from the Black Rock, to put in tents that Juliet is going to fake mark as pregnant woman tents. It's Charlie flashbacks. First one, he's changing a tire for his band on the way to some flop gig. He quits the band, but then they hear their song on the radio like, wait, maybe we're not flops. Back on the beach, he's writing a list of sorts. Number 5, the first time I heard myself on the radio. He starts talking to Naomi, and she works out that he was in Drive Shaft, and says when they found the plane in the ocean, they made a big deal about the dead rock star on board. Threw a huge memorial service for him, and then Drive Shaft released a new album. The plane in the ocean thing? No news on that yet. Desmond keeps looking at Charlie. It's giving, I had another vision, you died. He pulls Charlie aside and says that what he saw was Claire and Aaron getting in a helicopter that leaves the island. Also, you're gonna die. Also, if you don't die, the helicopter rescue won't happen. You have to die. Hashtag flash timeline integrity. Charlie wants Desmond to tell him how he dies. Desmond says that he's in a hatch of sorts with equipment around. There's a switch, and when Charlie flicks the switch, he drowns. Charlie's like, okay, cool. So if I die like that, that means Claire and Aaron get to leave the island. Great, give me the switch. Another flashback, number 4 on the list, when his dad taught him how to swim. Saeed is still trying to get the satellite phone working. He thinks Rousseau's signal is blocking him from getting a message out to Naomi's boat. Remember Rousseau's signal? The one that Shannon translated because she could speak a little bit of French. We all remember where we were when she did that. So the plan is to go turn off Rousseau's signal for a bit. But turns out that's not the only thing stopping the signal. Juliet says that Ben is using one of the Dharma stations to block all of the signals going off the island. A station called the Looking Glass, which is underwater. Gag. Saeed knows where to look for this station. He pulls out the blueprints to the Looking Glass station. In terms of where the fuck did Saeed get blueprints to the Looking Glass station, I'm assuming he grabbed them from the Flame station in episode 11. Juliet says Ben said there was some accident at the Looking Glass and the station was completely flooded and abandoned. Okay, so the gang needs to work out how to turn off this jamming signal in this station. Sounds like a switch in a room with equipment. Saeed thinks the beach cable, hashtag infamous beach cable, is the cable in the schematic. So if they follow the cable into the ocean, they'll find the station. It's really, really excellent. It's just so excellent. The beach cable was in season 1, and that's how the survivors found Rousseau. And now we're finding out the beach cable goes down to the Looking Glass station, which is jamming signals off the island, including Rousseau's distress signal. You guys, there's just levels to this. Now, the Looking Glass station has a moon pool, so they can swim under and get in. Saeed thinks he'll be able to swim down, get in the flooded station. That was crazy. Flip the switch, but then he won't be able to swim back out. It's a suicide mission. Charlie's like, wait, I'll do it. Guys, let me do it. Jack's saying, no one's doing a suicide mission. In fact, this can wait until we blow up the others. We can get all of these things done separately and safely. Jin wants to know what Juliet said on the tape about him and Sun when Sawyer played it, because everyone looked at Sun. She tells him Juliet did the ultrasound and Sun saw their baby, but she doesn't tell him about the island's track record with pregnant women. Can you imagine Jin's crash out? Oh my god. Then suddenly Carl rows onto the island. He's come to warn the survivors that the others are coming tonight. Jump to 6 hours ago. Ben returns to the others' camp without Locke and says, we're gonna go snatch them now. Jacob wants it to happen now. I don't remember Jacob saying that, you guys. Go grab all the women, and if any of the men get in the way, kill them. Also, John had an accident. That's why he's not here. I didn't shoot him into the ditch at the Dharma buddies. I never did that. No, I never did that. Alex runs to tell Carl that he has to go warn the survivors because he owes Kate and Sawyer for rescuing him. So he does. He says, if I get caught, your father is going to kill me this time. Alex says, is he my father? Okay, so she ordered a McGag Deluxe. We will find this out, by the way. Back to now. New plan post Carl spilling the beans on the Snatch timeline being moved up. Rousseau is going to take everyone to the radio tower so that they can try and contact Naomi's boat, while some choice divas will stay behind and take care of the others when they show up to camp. Saeed says that Jack should be the one to go to the radio tower and lead everyone, and that he'll stay behind with the shooters Bernard and Jin. Shooters as in to shoot the tents full of dynamite. Charlie and Desmond looks like are going for a swim. So much for we can do everything one at a time. It's now all happening at the same time. Charlie flashback. His brother gives him the ultra special DS drive shaft / family heirloom ring. Number 3, the Christmas Liam gave me the ring. Claire is not happy that island husband Charlie is doing this dangerous swim. Charlie's like, don't worry about me, it'll be fine. He says goodbye to baby Aaron and gives Claire a kiss and a big smile. He's also hidden the DS ring in Aaron's cot. Charlie's gonna be fine, right guys? Desmond's been wrong before about Charlie dying, right? Charlie flashback. He saves a woman from being mugged in an alleyway in London. The woman is Nadia, Saeed's kinda sorta girlfriend from his flashbacks. You're kidding? She calls Charlie a hero. Number 2, woman outside Covent Garden calls me a hero. Hurley wants to go on the swim expedition with Desmond and Charlie, and the only way Charlie can get Hurley to listen to him saying he can't come is to say that he's too big to come on the boat. Oof. But then he gives him a big hug saying, just remember I love you, man. Ooh, guys. Charlie's gonna be fine, right? Desmond and Charlie set off, following the cable into the ocean. Charlie flashback to the night of the plane crash. He sits down next to pregnant Claire and gives her a blanket. They start chatting. Number 1, the night I met you. Bro. Desmond sees in the water that they've reached the looking ass station. Charlie asks Desmond to give this piece of paper to Claire. The 5 best moments of his life. His greatest hits. Desmond's like, oh my god. And he's suddenly like, you know what? I'll swim down. Maybe I keep seeing you die because I'm supposed to take your place. If I had to choose between losing Desmond and Charlie, I don't think you guys are going to like my answer. So he starts getting ready to swim. Then Charlie talented Mr. Ripley's and knocks Desmond out with the boat paddle. He puts the greatest hits list in Desmond's pocket and jumps in the water. He swims down to the moon pool of the Looking Glass station. He gets out of the water and thinks, oh my god, the station isn't flooded. This is fantastic. I'm still alive. And then 2 Stanisha women with guns appear out of nowhere. Now who the fuck are they? Time for our 2-part finale through the Looking Glass parts 1 and 2. These are the 2nd and 3rd highest rated episodes of the show behind season 4 episode 5. Part 1 is rated 9.7 out of 10. That's nearly perfect. Are you kidding me? Cannot overstate the 180 we've experienced between the first and second halves of season 3. Like bro, this is quality TV. At this point, I'm thinking about 2 things. First is that Mr. Echo died like 17 episodes ago and I'm still mad about it. The second is that truly no one gives a fuck that Nikki and Paolo died, which is so funny. Whew, okay, let's go. These episodes are bonkers from start to finish. We open with Jack on a plane and he looks like shit. He looks so fucking bad. He's on an oceanic flight, but it's not flight 815. There's turbulence, but unlike 815, the turbulence ends. Jack's looking at a newspaper and is shocked and upset by something he reads, which he tears out of the newspaper. Then he's in LA driving his car on a bridge. He stops the car and keeps rereading this piece of newspaper, crying. What is happening? He calls someone and leaves a message. Hey, it's me. I just read... He hangs up. He gets out of his car and walks to the side of the bridge and gets up on the railing. Bro is about to jump from the bridge right into concrete. Suddenly there's a huge fucking crash behind him on the bridge and children screaming, so Jack climbs down from the railing to help them. Back to the island. Jack is leading everyone to the radio tower, Operation Radio Tower. Saeed, Bernard and Jin are our shooters. They're going to shoot the dynamite tents when the others get close. Saeed tells Jack to not turn back under any circumstances. I don't know, Saeed kind of outleaded Jack here. Rose says goodbye to Bernard, Sun says goodbye to Jin, it's emotions. Those 2 should not be splitting up. Get someone else to shoot the dynamite. Those 2 should not be splitting up at all after Jin spent most of season 2 finding his way back to Sun. Pissing me off. So almost everyone sets off to the radio tower. Vincent mentioned yay. Vincent is not fucking playing around with that water. He said, don't touch me. Naomi shows Jack how the satellite phone works in case something happens to her. As I said near the start of this video, every scene needs to have a purpose. So something's probably going to happen to Naomi. But what? Back to the Looking Glass station. The 2 ladies are beating up Charlie. We find out they're working for Ben, but of course. This diva looks a lot like Jack's ex-wife Sarah, aka Claire Dunphy, which is interesting because remember when Jack was in the aquarium, Ben was saying that Juliet was selected to talk to him because she looked like his ex-wife? But here's another Others employee who looks even more like his ex-wife. The women want to know who Charlie is and how he knew about the station. And he says, Juliet told me. She's one of us now. The women go to call Ben and tell him about this Juliet update, and they go to a room full of communications equipment and a switch. Charlie's looking like, oh cool, that must be my death room. That's that me death room. Ben's in his tent writing in his journal when one of these women, who introduces herself as Bonnie, calls him on the walkie-talkie. She should not be calling him on the walkie, so he knows it's bad. She says Charlie's here and Juliet told him about the station. Ben's mad as fuck. Juliet's flipped sides. He sends Mikhail to go deal with Charlie at the Looking Glass station. Mikhail's like, I thought this shit was flooded. Sorry, I lied. The others arrive at the beach camp for the pregnant woman snatch-a-thon. They approach the marked tents, and boom, Saeed and Bernard hit their dynamite targets and kill a bunch of the others. Jin misses his target. There's a shootout. In the chaos, the others get the upper hand and take Jin, Saeed, and Bernard hostage. On the walk to the radio tower, Jack et al. Can see the 2 explosions at the beach, but there should be 3. They also hear the gunshots, so Rose and Sun are understandably freaking.
If you say live together, die alone to me, Jack, I'm gonna punch you in your face.
Tom radios Ben to tell him that the survivors killed 7 others, and Ben says this happened because Juliet betrayed us. So this is confirmation that Juliet has officially changed sides and is now Team Survivor and isn't secretly still working for Ben. Yay, Jumfliet! Ben says to kill Jin if Saeed and Bernard don't talk. So Bernard blabs and tells them where Jack and everyone else went. The radio tower. Ben's wondering, how did Juliet know that the ambush was happening tonight? It was supposed to happen tomorrow night. Bernard says a kid named Carl came and told us, so Ben works out that Alex snitched. New plan. Ben is going to go to the radio tower. Richard is going to take everyone to the temple as planned. What the hell is the temple? Ben reckons he's going to talk the survivors out of leaving the island. Interesting. He's also bringing Alex with him. And when she asks why he let her come, he says that he's delivering her to her new family because she betrayed him. He also says the reason why he locked Carl up and was brainwashing him was because he didn't want Carl to get Alex pregnant. And we know what happens to pregnant women on the island. So what he did to Carl kind of makes sense in a twisted Ben kind of way. Alex asks why Ben can't just let the survivors leave the island. And he says, because I can't. Right. Jack flashback. He's in the hospital getting patched up after helping the woman and child who crashed on the bridge. Ex-wife Sarah, aka Claire Dunphy, walks into the ER. She asks if he's drinking again. He is. And asks what he was doing driving around at 2 o'clock in the morning. And why she come to see him? Because she's still his emergency contact. She's also pregnant. Bro. Down at the Looking Ass station, Charlie tells the women that he's there to turn off the jamming equipment. I'm kind of obsessed with them. They say he doesn't have the code, so that might be an issue for Operation Turn Off the Jamming Equipment. Desmond wakes up on the boat after being talented Mr. Ripley. Suddenly, he's being shot at by Mikhail on the beach with a rifle. So he dives into the water and swims down to the station too. He surfaces in the moon pool, and tied up Charlie tells him to hide before the women see him, so Desmond hides in a gear locker. Then Mikhail pops up in the moon pool wearing scuba gear, #professional. When he sees Bonnie, he says, I thought you two were on assignment in Canada, which is a really, really interesting thing to say because as far as I can remember right now, there are no other references to others related working in Canada in the show. If I was writing the inevitable Lost reboot / spin-off, I would pick something like that as the genesis point. Being on assignment in Canada is apparently canon, but it's never built on. So you could do whatever and still be linked to the main show. Disney, call me, I have ideas. Anyway, Bonnie and Greta tell Mikhail that Ben made them promise not to tell anyone they were down there. Mikhail's like, ugh, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. Where's the other survivor? Referring to Desmond. Charlie's trying to distract Mikhail, like, why don't you ask them about why Ben said the station was flooded? Or why they're jamming all signals off the island, including from their own people? Ben radios the station. Mikhail answers. Ben says, everything I did for the island. That's an overarching theme for Ben. Island first. Mikhail's not happy that Ben was jamming every signal, including the others, and calls bullshit when Ben says that Jacob told him to lie to his own people. Ben says that the island is under assault, and that's why Jacob made him do it. The island must be protected at all costs. The island being under assault will be built on more in season 4. So now Ben's in ultra damage control mode. He asks Mikhail to help him clean up the mess. Kill Charlie, then kill Greta and Bonnie so they can't tell anyone about what I've been lying about. Bruh. Another Jack flashback. Also, yes, I am aware that the eye patch has indented my face. I suffer for the arts. Some of you can't say the same. It's the day after the crash on the bridge and he's checking a patient's chart at the hospital when a man comes in and introduces himself as the new chief of surgery. When he sees that it's Jack, he says, Dr. Shepard, the hero, twice over. whatever that means. Jack says he wants to operate on the patient, the woman he saved on the bridge. And the other doctor's like, well, no, she's not your patient. And also just generally no, because Jack's really giving mess. Back to now. Kate wants to go back to the beach to make sure that Saeed, Bernard, and Jin are okay. She tells Sawyer, but he's been weird and standoffish since he got back from the Kill the Man That Ruined Your Life challenge. And he also hasn't told anyone about that. Then later on, out of nowhere, Sawyer tells Jack that he is going back to the beach. Alone, as in Kate's not allowed to come. He says that he doesn't want to go with her. Jack's like, bro, you will die instantly on arrival without a gun. When Juliet says, oh babe, I know where there are some guns. I'll go with Sawyer and we can get the guns on the way. Juliet's doing this as a sort of sorry for being evil, guys. She owes them. So Sawyer and Juliet split off. Juliet kisses Jack goodbye, which Kate sees. Jack and Juliet are a pretty powerful couple, let's not lie. Later on, Jack tells Kate that Sawyer didn't mean it when he told her that he didn't want her to come. He was just trying to protect her. Jack says, like I was when I told you not to come back for me at the Hydra station, which, remember, was weaponized by Juliet when arguing with Kate to be like, he didn't want you to come back, not because he wanted to protect you, but because he didn't want you to jeopardize his get off the island deal with Ben. Kate's looking at Jack like, why are you sticking up for Sawyer? He wouldn't do the same for you. To which Jack says, because I love you. Let's run that back. Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Because I love you. Ray, brother, you just kissed Juliet. Huh? Kate's like, what the hell? I'm wondering the same thing, sister. On their way back to the beach via guns, Juliet reveals to Sawyer that there aren't actually any guns. She just said that so that Jack would let them go back. Then Hurley turns up saying, I want to come with you guys, and Sawyer's like, bro, no, be for real. Then he gets nasty and says, look at you. You're just going to get in the way. The way everyone's being nasty to him as a way to protect him, like, surely there's another option here, guys. Meanwhile, Locke is still in the Dharma body trench. He's still alive, but he's barely breathing. And his legs aren't working. Not this. He sees that one of the Dharma skeletons has a gun, so he crawls over to her and is about to shoot himself to end his suffering, when he hears a voice say, don't, John. Put the gun down. He looks out of the ditch, and who's standing there? I actually want you to guess. Who's standing at the edge of the Dharma ditch, because you will not be able to guess it. It's Walt. What the fuck? The last we saw of Walt was him and Michael leaving the island on a bearing of 325 on a boat they secured in exchange for delivering the people on Ben's list. Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Hurley on the dock. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Remember, the purpose of that list was ultimately to get Jack to do Ben's spinal surgery. Dharma Ditch Walt says, get up, John. You can move your legs. Now get out of the ditch. You have work to do. Now, guys, I hope you're not thinking that this Walt apparition is going to be explained anytime soon, if at all. All we can assess right now are the facts, and those facts are Walt appeared to Locke, Walt was not on the island at this time, nor was he dead, as far as we know. Flagging that for season 6 discussions in 2029. Even though this is technically the second part of a two-parter episode 22, this is in fact the 23rd televised hour of the season, and that is not lost on me. Right. It's actually a very important detail, but not for the show. Maybe for something that I'm doing. We're halfway through eating this McGag Deluxe, so let's continue. This episode opens with a flashback of Jack, same period of time as the flashbacks in the previous episode, so he's looking insane. He's looking at that piece of paper again, the one that he ripped out of the newspaper on the plane. He pulls out a Motorola Razr V3, I think, and calls the number he called before, and again, the person doesn't answer. He looks at the paper again, and then looks outside the window at where he's arrived. Hoff's Drawler Funeral Parlor. He goes inside. There's a casket and a room full of empty chairs. A worker in the funeral parlor tells Jack that nobody showed up, just Jack. He asks if Jack was a friend or family of the deceased, and Jack says neither. Jack goes up to the casket and he's crying, but the casket stays closed. Hashtag who is in the casket. Next flashback, Jack's trying to refill his medication prescription, but he doesn't have any refills left. He tries to say that he's got a prescription from Dr. Shepard, aka his dad, but Jack is a mess. He's crashing out. The guy behind him in the line is like, oh, hey, I know you. You're the hero. I saw it on TV. In the next flashback, Jack is trying to steal oxycodone from the hospital, and the chief of surgery pulls him aside and says that the woman that Jack saved on the bridge has woken up after surgery and says she crashed because she saw a man standing on the bridge about to jump. Bruh. Jack's in the hospital staggering around drunk like, you don't know what I've been through. Back on the island, Jack is leading the gang to the radio tower. Rousseau's saying that she doesn't want to leave the island. there's nothing back there in the real world for her. Which, I mean, fair enough. She's been stuck on this fuck-ass island for 16 years. Numbers mention, you're talking about numbers. They all walk over a hill. And who's waiting for them? Ben and Alex. Ben is such a doer. Like, he walks the walk. He knows these survivors want his head. And here he is face to face about to say some shit. He says, hey Jack, let's talk, babe. Alone. So they go and talk. Ben's basically begging Jack to call off this Call Naomi's Boat extravaganza. He says that Naomi is not who she says she is. She's a representative of some people who have been trying to find the island. She's one of the bad guys. If you phone her boat, every single living person on this island will be killed. Jack's not fucking buying it. So Ben radios Tom at the beach to show Jack that they've got Jin, Saeed and Bernard hostage. Also, don't forget, Ben graduated from quick thinking school with honors. He says, give me Naomi's phone in 1 minute or I'll order Tom to kill them. Jack doesn't give him the phone. He thinks Ben's bluffing and also rescue comes first. Boom, boom, boom. 3 gunshots on the walkie. Looks like Tom just killed Saeed, Bernard, and Jin. Oh my god, you guys. Surely not. I mean, remember, one of the key things here is if we didn't see them die, did they die? So in response, Jack beats up Ben to an inch of his life and drags him back to the group. When Alex sees how badly beaten up Ben is, she runs over and Rousseau's watching her, so Alex is like, what lady? Ben tells Alex that Danielle Rousseau is her mother. They have this emotional interaction and then Rousseau's first words to her daughter are, will you help me tie him up? It's beautiful. I can now say a joke that I've been cooking for 3 seasons. Alex is Danielle Rousseau's daughter, which makes her Alex Rousseau. Everything is not what it seems. Jack tells Kate what happened Ari, 3 gunshots, Jin, Saeed, Bernard, and says the only reason why he hasn't killed Ben yet is because he wants Ben to see them radio the boat and know he failed. And then he'll kill him. Back at the beach, Jin, Saeed, and Bernard are still alive. Tom's crew shot the bullets into the sand. Sawyer and Juliet have arrived and they're watching from the bushes. Suddenly, Hurley drives the Dharma van through the camp, running over one of the others. Saeed, still tied up, mind you, trips another and breaks his neck with his feet. Juliet grabs Tom's gun before he can reach it and Tom surrenders, but Sawyer shoots him in the chest, killing him, and says, that's for taking the kid off the raft. We love a season 1 episode 25 flashback. Tom's a pretty significant other to be killing. Emphasis on significant other because Tom is our first and only gay character in the show, or maybe not. There's 3 more seasons, so surely there'll be at least 1 more. RIP to Tom, I guess. And don't forget, guys, she said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Down in the looking ass station, Mikhail has just received his instructions from Ben to kill Charlie, Greta, and Bonnie. He asks if there's a way to turn off the jamming equipment, and the women are like, yeah, with the code from Ben. You 2 are the only ones that know the code? Yes. You're just down here blindly following orders? We believe Ben, and we believe Jacob, and if we start questioning our orders, everything would fall apart. Mikhail's like, right, that's T. And then shoots both of them, killing one instantly and is about to finish the job on the other one when Desmond pops out of the gear locker with a harpoon gun and shoots Mikhail in the chest. Charlie begs dying Bonnie for the code, saying, if you tell me the code, it'll make Ben very angry, which he deserves for telling Mikhail to kill you. Bonnie's slipping in and out of consciousness, telling Charlie this long code, and then says it's the melody of Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys on the keypad. Now it's starting to make sense why Charlie had to be the one to do this. If Desmond was the one to swim down and take Charlie's place, bro, it would have been over. Hurley radios Jack to say that everyone is okay. Yay! Claire's like, hey Hurley, is Charlie back yet? Oh, I'm sure he's fine, and about to paddle back from the Looking Glass station. At the Looking Glass station, Desmond and Charlie have found some scuba gear. So the plan is to get Charlie to do the Good Vibrations code while Desmond preps the gear for escape. Maybe Desmond's flashes are wrong and they're both going to make it out. So Charlie goes into the comms room and starts typing the tune to Good Vibrations. It works and the jammer light goes off, so that means signals can go out and come in. Suddenly, there's a transmission. It's a pixelated feed of Penny saying, hello, can you hear me? Who is this? I'm Charlie Pace, survivor of Oceanic Flight A15. Where are you? On an island. Who's this? Penelope Widmore. Charlie's like, oh my god, and starts calling for Desmond. And Penny's listening like, did you just say Desmond? Yes, Desmond's right here. Are you on your boat? Penny says, what boat? And now everything is going to go sideways. Penny has absolutely no idea what boat Charlie's talking about and has no idea who Naomi is. Near the moon pool, Desmond looks around and sees that Mikhail's body is gone and there's a trail of blood leading into the water. In the comms room, Charlie hears a knock at the station window. It's Mikhail. holding a grenade, and he pulls the pin. Realizing that this window is about to smash and flood the entire station, Charlie runs to shut the comms room door so that only that room floods. Right as Desmond is running to the door from the other side and sees the video feed of Penny. Desmond's calling for Penny. Penny's calling for Desmond. Charlie locks the door. Mikhail's window smashes. The room starts filling with water. Desmond's banging on the glass trying to save Charlie. Charlie's just standing there, coming to terms with the fact he's about to drown. Exactly how Desmond said he would. Then he suddenly frantically pulls a marker out of his pocket and starts writing something on his hand while the water level continues to rise. He puts his palm against the glass to show Desmond the message he's written. Not Penny's boat. In his last seconds, Charlie's done one final selfless act to warn his friends that the people on the boat are not who they say they are, which lines up with what Ben was saying. So as the audience, we're stressing. Desmond's looking at this palm on the glass like, what the fuck? And then Charlie does the sign of the cross and drowns. I think this definitely would have been a Supreme McGag Deluxe, even though Charlie was dying the entire season. I feel like it was potentially going in the direction of a fake out to be like, oh, you can actually change your future. So it sounds bad, but I'm glad he died. Charlie was a great character though. Also, Mikhail, I actually really liked him as a character. So mysterious and angry and a major league hater. Also, you know what? I reckon he could have been gay. Argue with the wall. Actually, you know what else? Miss Clue, lesbian. She said she knows your beard's fake, Tom. Wait. Beard. Tom is gay. Back on the island, baby Aaron is crying. Bro knows something is wrong. Naomi's phone starts working. She says, Charlie just got us rescued. Naomi goes to call the boat. Rousseau's signal still blocking the phone signal. But that's okay. They've arrived at the radio tower. Rousseau turns off her signal. Now Naomi's got a signal. Ben's freaking out. Jack, stop this. This is your last chance. Making that call is the beginning of the end. You don't know what you're doing. What Ben's saying has weight now after not Penny's boat. Naomi dials the boat and is about to talk when a knife lands in her back and she collapses. Enter stage left, John Locke. It's a knife when you're injured by Locke. Last we saw Locke, he was paralyzed in the Dharma ditch and Walt appeared and said he had work to do. Jack goes to save Naomi and Locke whips out the Dharma pistol. Locke says he did what he had to do. Ben's begging Locke to shoot Jack. Jack's holding the ringing satellite phone and Locke says he's going to shoot him unless he puts the phone down. But Jack's had enough of Locke keeping him on the damn island, CC blowing up the fucking submarine. So Jack's like, no, I'm not going to put it down. Shoot me. Shoot me then, sister. Locke just can't pull the trigger. But he says, you're not supposed to do this. Someone named Minkowski answers the phone. Jack starts talking to him saying, Naomi told us about your boat. I'm one of the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815. Minkowski says he'll be right there. Everyone's celebrating. Oh my god, rescue is coming. The nightmare is over. Flashback. Jack's house. He's sitting on the floor surrounded by maps, Oceanic Airlines tickets, paper, and pens. Wait, what? He once again dials the number he keeps dialing. This time, a woman answers. She's about to hang up, but Jack says, I just need to see you. They agree to meet at the airport. Cut to Jack at the airport. A car approaches. A woman gets out of the car. It's Kate Austen. What? She says, I saw you on the news. Still pulling people out of burning wreckage, huh? Guys, the flashbacks of the last two episodes, or technically two parts of the same episode, have actually been flash forwards. A totally new, never before seen storytelling mechanic for this show. Everyone welcome to the stage, light blue flash forward lines. Something happened that resulted in at least Jack and Kate leaving the island, and Jack has been in a bad way since. How this is all linked to Naomi and the freighter and not Penny's boat, we will find out next season. I need to mention that we were actually getting hints throughout these flash forwards, such as people repeatedly saying that Jack was a hero, him referring to what he'd been through, his Motorola Razr V3, the model of which didn't come out until 2006, when flashbacks would have had to have been before 2004. But the most important one is when he goes to the funeral parlor to visit whoever's in the casket. The funeral parlor is called Hoff's Drawler, which rearranged spells out flash forward. Oh, it's too good. Now back to flash forward Jack and Kate. Kate asks why Jack called her and he hands her the piece of paper, the one that led him to the funeral parlor. Kate seems shaken up, but reacts weirdly when Jack says that he thought she'd be at the funeral. Jack says he's been flying a lot, using the golden pass they gave us. Every Friday night, he takes an international flight, hoping that it'll crash. He wants to get back. He says he's sick of lying and that they made a mistake. Kate says she has to go home because he's going to be wondering where I am. Then Jack says two astronomically important things. 1, we were not supposed to leave. 2,
We have to go back!